Good morning and welcome to today's live show. I know we're a little bit early, but hey, yesterday we were a little bit on the tired side, a little bit up late with that big storm, but today we're feeling good, and I think it's a good day to feel good because it looks like there is potential opportunity forming. Now, we did talk about in last night's video. What did we talk about in last night's video? What stock did we talk about in last night's video that looks eerily similar to this type of behavior? And maybe we could read into how this thing is going to behave over the next 24 hours. Anybody watch that? Anybody watch that video last night and find out which stock? I mean, it was at the beginning of the video. Which stock were we looking at that looks a lot like this? And we were talking about this exact type of situation playing out. Stephen Flowers, Mr. Flowers, coming in with the correct answer, and that is NVIDIA, right? We see this attempt at a higher low just above the previous, and we notice that NVIDIA gave us that type of signal in the past. Now, a little bit more volatile at this time, but we'll notice that in these areas, you were able to hold the original divergence point, even with the bigger volatility, bigger swings. We still reject off the 5. We sweep the lows, potentially to take out those stops, and then we never see this thing come back down to those lower prices until we see that nice upward move. So something we're paying attention to was this structure and looking for if we actually did gap down. This is very, very interesting because the SPY we can see in this area does have the potential to see that type of turnaround. Now, what this did for NVIDIA was also create not only a 30-minute multiple point divergence over here, which we never really crossed here, so I really like the fact that that didn't happen, and if we see this, I'd be very happy with it, but it might also set up some kind of quick 2-hour divergence that actually shows on your MACD and RSI at the same time for the SPY. Okay, so make sure to have those daily expected moves. As of right now, we are going to the bottom side one, but the upside one is 590.38. The downside one is 575.74. Very important to understand, we are getting towards Friday and we are still outside of that move, but we're creating those potential 30-minute signals outside of there. So by Friday, we could end up seeing that upside move, and that's where we want to pay attention to why that could potentially be happening. And data might be a big point to pay attention to. Obviously, this morning we get a bunch of export, imports, initial jobless claims coming in lower, but for now, non-farm payrolls and unemployment going to be very important. Unemployment is supposed to stay pretty flat. Non-farm payroll is supposed to tick up, so we'll see how that affects people's behavior in the overall market. If some data points like that can already be priced in with all of this downward price action due to the tariffs for the most part and recession scares, this is what we really want to be watching, is do we actually form a base while we're still getting some bad news, and then we potentially get one little piece of good news and everything starts to shift. So I will be looking for that. If you need some daily expected moves for the Qs, as they are holding up a little bit better, we can see that from the weekly expected move. From this area, we see that similar behavior to NVIDIA, seeing that move down. If this crosses, we should be open to, especially if we break through these levels, to test the low, go make a new one. And then if that's able to turn around, hey, you might have yourself a solid little divergence right here. And right when you think this is going to the downside, hey, it might just pop right back up. We did talk about as well, let's give you those daily expected moves. 508.93 to the upside, 495.09 to the downside, already at the downward expected move and going to that weekly expected move. For the SPY, what was the other thing? God dang it. I hate when my brain messes up there. Oh, that was it. The 200. We are seeing these tags of the 200, but we haven't fully tagged it yet. So is this 30-minute move going to sweep the low and come down into that 200 for a moment, get you nice and bearish, maybe even hit a monthly expected move in the first week of the month, which means you have 3 more weeks to see if this thing can bounce from these levels. If you go below these levels, you have 3 weeks to build back into those levels. So just be aware of where this the stock market really is at right now, and understand that most people are going to be very, very bearish sentiment down in these areas, just like they were very bullish sentiment up in these areas. And what were we saying in these areas? Be aware if the daily chart crosses down. And then we see downside, So these monthly expected moves are great to see because if you get a strong move down, you know, hey, people are probably making those very bearish bets. And if you make that strong move up, you know, hey, this is potentially where people are going to be making those very bullish bets. And as a contrarian, this is some very good data points to have. But you can see how that 200 is right there. So if this 30-minute does cross down and go down to that monthly expected move, you would have a perfect tag. A perfect retest of the 200-day moving average. So this is something I'm really paying attention to. And throughout this video, towards the end of this video, and we're potentially going to put that out on Patreon as well, I'm going to show you guys some potential setups. I really wanted to show those setups this morning because they are there and it is interesting, okay? You have a lot of things giving a lot of reversal signals that say we could be bottoming like this week, like today could be the day. Now in our video last night, we want to treat this as this is our first attempted bottom. And the reason that we're going to say that this is going to be an attempted bottom or a potential bottom, it can be good. With people's sentiment, it can be really good. But if the 2-hour does not, right, if we end up going down to these levels, making that 30-minute divergence, we see the 2-hour trail up like this and fail, we need to be aware that this MACD is still far away from that center line. So we can go make some kind of divergence at some point, and that would make a lot of sense, make a higher low, or some kind of divergence is still possible all throughout the month of March. Just be aware that structure like this is very possible, and you'll see this type of structure a lot during bear markets, okay? So this is something that I saw countless times in bear markets is they like to sweep those lows even on the 2-hour chart after you make a 30-minute strong base. So I will be watching this. For the time being though, we can say, okay, this is at least going to be some kind of 2-hour move higher. If this can take you all the way up to something like 598, that would be the best place to see some kind of minor pullback on the 30-minute and keep curled up to the upside. This most likely won't allow the 2-hour to go positive. So in these areas, you don't want that to cross throughout here. You want that to be able to bend back to the upside without crossing through that signal line on your MACD. I think that's the best way to look at this. And we're going to show some of these opportunities. There are some very, very, very interesting opportunities. So once we get a decent amount of people in here, if you could like the video, let's do this. We're going to show off those opportunities on Patreon for sure. If you want to see it during the live video, because you are showing that dedication, showing up to the live video, I want to show it to you. Let's get 100 likes in here real quick. Let's get some people in here so we can talk about these opportunities so that we can help out retail here, because if these reversal signals set up and we see an upward move, retail could be the one that's the most damaged at this point by an upward move. Okay, so let's get those likes coming in, and once we hit 100 likes, we will show off some of the opportunities that I am paying attention to right now. Already liked, thank you so much for liking, Matthew. Reddit is going to rip. Let's check on Reddit real quick. Reddit, very, very nice. Okay, 2-hour rejection divergence. Notice this, again, right? A 30-minute divergence pops up, right? You have 30-minute divergence down here at the lows. You come back down for the higher low, but you don't see that sporadic move. And that actually, you do get a sporadic move above these highs, but it immediately gives it up and it's still close to the center line. So as that curls up, you can see how curvy this really is. So be aware that you can get little pullbacks and things like that. But I want you to notice we had the base, right? We saw the move and then it gave it up. Now it gave it up to do what? Well, potentially to sweep the lows and create that 2-hour divergence. So actually you have 2-hour divergence here. And even though the 30-minute is crossing down, this might be a management of the trade, but you're looking for that to break just like you did last time. You're still looking for that to break and hold above that 170 level. So if this is just going to curl down and curl right back up, you're pretty happy with it. Right? I'm pretty happy with it if it would happen that way. But for the time being, if this wants to shoot down a little bit lower, you're aware that that can happen. But the 30-minute is a little bit more positive, so be open to this. And then if you can really break through that and hold 170, I would really, really like to see how this thing behaves over time. So something we need to do for Reddit, since we're talking about a 2-hour divergence, right? A rejection divergence, very, very, very significant, is look at a daily chart and say, okay, that had some reversal signals above it, but it was really high up. And in this area, we could do potentially two things. your MACD is in a position here where it says you need to pay attention to a lower high, which makes total sense, right? That makes total sense. We come up, we go down into this area. If we see that little pop like this, we could see some kind of ABC move, right? A to B to C. Okay, very simple. So if we're going to turn this thing completely back around, well, then I'm never going to see this daily curl down in these areas, right? I'm going to more so see big moves like this that curl down like this in these areas and turn back to the upside, right? The only time I really want to be a little bit cautious with this is if we just see this booming move and then we see the daily cross back down and that forms some kind of divergence that's closer to the center line. So Reddit really looks like it wants to make some kind of move up. You now know that a lower high is something that you need to pay attention to in case you make structure to head down. But for the time being, you have rejection divergence that suggests that this daily chart can cross up. When do you know that that 2-hour divergence is gone and pretty much most likely to be violated and maybe make a new low? If the 2-hour chart does cross. If I want to, for the time being, I'm thinking as if I took the trade right now. If I wanted to, for the time being, if this is too close to the center line that I'm comfortable with, I can be out. And then if that curls back up at any moment, I can be back in. And that's how it goes. I like to be comfortable in my plays. If something looks like it's going to make me uncomfortable, then I can get out of my plays very confidently and just be open to reversal signals later on. DAX looks like it's finally breaking down. We were looking at the DAX a lot. Here you go. And this is why, right? Now you actually have that potential divergence point, and you're probably going to see a bunch of stuff on the 4-hour here. Yeah, so you are seeing those divergences still holding at the low. So this is where it's like you see the volatility kicking in. Like very obviously you see the volatility kicking in because you're getting those bigger swings. I would just really pay attention if this goes negative. If this starts to cross through the 5 and you fill this gap without getting a bounce, I think doing this would make a lot of sense, right? This would make a lot of sense in here if you're going to break down. But for now, you're still holding the divergence point. Really, you're looking for now this to get violated and this to get violated. So you're going to need a big move here. So it is way more likely to see this thing drop down at this point. And now we're going to look at a 2-hour and see, okay, the divergence is right here. So is that moment right now? Your RSI is suggesting it could be, right? Your MACD, not as much, still holding the divergence point from the past, but your RSI is suggesting that this could be a double top right now. You could see this thing curl down and then that heads to the downside for the DAX. So, still a very difficult short. I haven't really thought about shorting something like this. If anything, we were looking at potential opportunities to short other things. I think someone was bringing up Starbucks, right? Starbucks was a decent looking one because you actually got like one more push higher. And notice this, and this might help you with the DAX. Notice that on the 2-hour, we're actually able to go negative. So the DAX on the 4-hour, not able to go negative yet, but the 2-hour able to go negative here. Going to our first point where we want to pay attention, right? That 110. Then after that, we want to pay attention to 105.50, okay? So if this is going to bounce, hey, we can still see that completely come back. You are not by any means crazy there. But what you want to pay attention to is if you get an upward move here, do you see it violate divergences, right? Do we see it violate those? Do we see it get back above this high and violate divergence? Do we see a strong move? Right, that's the overall thing. But for the time being, Starbucks looked like a daily pullback was necessary. You finally get the daily pullback confirmation, and then you see that this 30-minute, hey, it doesn't really have divergence or anything, so I don't think I have to worry too much about a 2-hour turning up, but I am aware that that would go against my trade. So getting to this level is great, right? We can get to here. Maybe we see some kind of bounce. As of right now, you'd say, hey, maybe we hold some kind of structure like this, then we fall down one more time. If we create divergence, okay, we might see a 2-hour rip. If we don't, then that thing might just continue to break down. So we're just pointing this out because this is one that actually went negative versus the DAX that continues to almost go negative and turn back up. So difficult one over there. If we had monthly expected moves, it would probably be much more simple. Come on, guys, give the likes. Once we hit 100, someone notify me. I'm not going to pay attention to it, right? Likes are likes. I just care that a bunch of people are here before I talk about potential opportunities that I'm seeing out there. Now, what was it? Someone did say... Love it. Exactly what you're thinking. Okay, awesome, Matthew. That's good. Right, impact markets. Also don't understand it, but German bond drama bringing futures lower. Yeah, you're potentially going to see some funky things too, especially if they're giving, potential aid to Ukraine. I wonder what that's going to do to their finance markets, but might be over my pay grade. Let's go, AP. Apple, yeah. Apple's the interesting one for me. Apple's the one that's the hardest to tell. In my opinion, Apple is the hardest to tell. But if we're thinking about this very simply, there's a couple of different ways to think about this. Okay, when we first went into this, remember when we first went into this and we were talking about things down here, and then we were talking about things down here, and then we were talking about things up here. Well, the most part down here, we were overall suggesting, hey, a lower high is what we need to pay attention to. And then we saw that strong move and we said, okay, the 2 hours suggesting a new move could take you to the upside to get back up to 250. We get to 250 with the 2 hour divergence, and we say, okay, now we're gonna see that pull back. Now, the whole time down here, though, we were suggesting this could be a lower high, and that's why this type of move can be scary, because look at this. This could just be a flag. This could just be a big daily flag, and we see Apple go down to 210. And doesn't 210 make a lot of sense? I mean, look at the support that was held here. Even with that big sell-off down to 197.47, we came all the way back, right? We really did not remain lower for a long time. So this area is some good support, and you're showing, hey, that could happen. So that's the really bearish thing, and that was kind of the plan the whole time. But something has made this a little bit more difficult, a little bit different, and maybe bears should be cautious with this. Look at the big-ass wicks. Look at those big wicks coming in. Okay, this is a big deal because that means buyers are willing to save this thing with potentially a good amount of volume, right? We're not seeing the worst volume. We're not seeing little days like this down at, not even 20 million, right? We're seeing days that are 47 million. Like, this is not horrible as far as volume goes for Apple, and you have two big wicks coming in. So the reversal signals here are not great. You have no divergence on your RSI, you have no divergence on your MACD, but we're seeing a lot of other stocks with better reversal signals. Maybe Apple wants to make one real quick, right? And that's where we could look for the 30-minute. If you want this 2 hour to get some kind of V-shape and see some kind of crazy strong move, you still most likely want to see some kind of base, some kind of higher low, some kind of divergence. And you'll notice that this 30-minute, you just don't have that. So this will be one that I'm not going to potentially take Apple for a trade, but Apple can create that double bottom that potentially can actually send that 2 hour higher, and then we'll pay attention to it. But ultimately here it's, hey, this thing's curling down. I don't think there's a great setup here. I think there are risks that Apple is curled down on a daily and lower high was the overall scenario. I mean, if we're really thinking about this clearly, you could say something like this, but it's reaching up to the highs to get that liquidity. So this could be a mean drop. So I'm not necessarily that happy with it. I think Apple is more of a risky one. Even if it sees positivity, I'm still, from how it looks, thinking it looks a little bit risky compared to some other ones that we might talk about in a little bit. Just, yeah, and keep it in mind. I mean, this thing can change over the next session or two and become a lot more clear, right? If the daily crosses up, it's actually very likely that you're going to see a double push if that daily crosses up again. So just be aware of that. Yeah, volatility, someone bringing it up real quick. Volatility, see on the next move higher. What are we looking for here? We're still looking. Remember, we talked about this. Hey, that 30-minute can get that move right now. Hey, that 2 hour could cross up at any point. We're kind of looking for that to almost more so drop off and then curl up. But if we want to make the reversal signal, hey, that's fine with me, because if we go like this, we're going to see those lows get swept. And then if we see that 2 hour turn back down, we are going to see a double top, and that would be a big deal. Now, does this mean if I get an upward move from the VIX, it has to be a double top? No. The only way I know that has high potential to be a double top is if I see the downward move after the upward move. If I see that downward move and we start to give up this 5 coming up and we see that, that's more when we go, okay, this is the market telling us we're going to attempt to bottom here. So we see the 30-minute. This is mainly what we're watching here. Just seeing if that thing can turn to the upside eventually. All right, let me go check how many likes we had. Someone refresh their page and tell me how many likes we got, because if we got 100, I want to talk about these opportunities while the stocks are still hot, guys. Come on now. $99, $98, so close. 2 people. All right, we'll give it away anyway. Someone's gonna like, right? Some of you guys gonna like. 1,000 limes. Okay, so some of the opportunities that I'm seeing out there, some of the ones I wanted to point out, we actually talked about a little bit yesterday, which was Meta was one of them. Meta, I think if you see this, Meta might be the best opportunity. If you get a complete flush here and we go down to that 617 and you see that bounce, I think this is going to be one of the best divergence setups that we're going to see all year long. All year long. Thank you to Meta. Meta has given some great signals for the last few months, and Meta's been fantastic. But if you see a sweep of these lows here and you get that support to come in at 617.82, and you see this down here, and you see that same thing on your RSI, right? We see a similar thing on that RSI. That's pretty damn significant. I'm really liking this setup. So I personally am watching Meta right now. I think Meta is a great one to watch. All right, that's one of them. And guess what? If you have weekly and monthly expected moves, you probably know with one more push down what that would look like. And it would look fantastic. Now, we're still aware that the 2 hour is far away from the center line. We could be making it, but look at that 2 hour right now. So not only would that give you a 30-minute divergence, it would give you a great entry with a 30-minute, but you already have the 2 hour that's suggesting that now could be the time. Right? So the 2 hour is suggesting that the daily is going to move up here. What was the plan with Meta the entire time when we called the top for this with that 2 hour divergence and the monthly expected move? Well, the plan here was the daily is going to pull back and we need to start to pay attention when the daily gets by that center line. I literally could see this top, take a play, sell out of the play, go away from stocks for a long time and wait for that daily MACD to get down by that center line. And guess what? When it is down by that center line, just cuts it a little bit. Now you're seeing 2 hour divergence, which says this could go test the high and go make a new one if it wants to. So I think Meta would be nice to make a move towards this 704, right? Get a little buildup and then turn back to the upside. That would be fantastic for Meta. So do we understand how this is a good reversal signal? Like, are we understanding like why we are seeing this and how it could become a little bit more complex before we actually see upside? Hopefully everyone's understanding what we're getting at here and understanding that these things can fail. Right? This 30-minute could turn down. It could not bounce from 617 and it could turn way down and keep going. This thing could turn way down, bounce off of it, maybe even confirm, and then unconfirm the signal to actually head lower. So just be aware, this is not a for sure thing, but it is showing us that a lot of these stocks are attempting to make bottoms right now, and I think we need to pay attention. Maybe you would like to see another one. Another one would be Amazon. I mean, look at Tesla. Tesla's giving it up right now as well. We'll talk about that in a moment. But Amazon is a very interesting one as well. You're seeing almost the same type of structure. Now, we still want to pay attention if those hold up better. These are positive MACDs, but if they start to go negative, sweep the lows, make that quick divergence point, we're in a buy zone making a divergence, and that's just fantastic for Amazon if that would set up. I'm just telling you the best case scenario here, but for the 2 hour for Amazon, things are looking pretty decent, right? I mean, we're attempting. That's what's happening right now. We're attempting to make some kind of bottom, and you're seeing these type of looks from individual stocks that are big names. So this is a big deal. If we make a 30-minute divergence and we do not cross back down these 2 hour charts, that's when I will be the happiest. If we do it for a moment, that's okay. I don't want that to sustain, but I don't necessarily want to be in this if the 2 hour is crossing down. All right, so Amazon once again looks like an opportunity. Now, this is different from Meta on the daily scale. What was the plan with Amazon? Amazon has divergence. The MACD is much, much deeper, right? Much deeper, and we were always leaning towards this type of structure. So what if we just go make that right shoulder that could have been towards 233.50, and then we actually see that confirm back down? Well, that would confirm back down really close to the center line, and that means we're most likely cutting this low and going a little bit deeper for Amazon, okay? So we do have some things that this thing needs to fully V-shape and get back up to 242 in order to not make that lower high, in my opinion. But look at Amazon, that still is a potential trade setup. How do we like Amazon? Everyone liking that one? Now I'm going to show you one that I'm really paying attention to. I'm going to show you one I'm really paying attention to. All right, and that would be Jpmorgan. I'm actually really paying attention to Jpmorgan if it can hold this 2-hour divergence. I think this is one of the best looks that we're going to see, and it looks like it's already trying to sweep the lows. Now, if you have weekly expected moves for this, you know why I'm paying attention to it, and you know why I'm seriously watching these reversal signals at this moment, because Jpmorgan looks very, very interesting. I mean, you'd have to say Jpmorgan looks very interesting, right? You'd be crazy not to say it looks interesting when it has this 30-minute that is sweeping the lows and potentially making a divergence here outside of a weekly expected move. And then you click over to a 2-hour and you see 2-hour divergence there as well. It hasn't confirmed yet, but maybe it wanted to make that 30-minute divergence first, like Nvidia did. So I'm going to watch this morning, because if this 30-minute can swing back around, I'm pretty happy with it, and I can see potential upside here and be very, very happy with the play. And what do I think the overall thing with Jpmorgan is on the daily scale? We have 30-minute divergence forming. We'll see if that confirms. We have 2-hour divergence that has formed. We'll see if that confirms. But if it does, what's the thing here? What's going to happen? Well, at this moment, we noticed that from these highs, we were talking about the 2-hour triple divergence for Jpmorgan. This is another trade setup that we talked about over on Patreon as well a few weeks ago, and ended up playing further to the downside, right? We broke below my 263.52, used it as resistance, and broke even lower to go to where? The breakout area of 245. We were talking about 250 a lot for this Jpmorgan play, and now we're there. The MACD is starting to rotate down a little much. So that tells us something here, and YS is pointing it out, that this could potentially catch a bid soon, right? This is a major breakout area. Sorry. So if this daily curls up, you actually do still have some chance to go make that new high, maybe test this high, go make a new one. But overall, you're a little bit negative, so be a little bit aware that this could see a strong move and then make that lower high. So we will be watching that. We'll be watching for daily divergence, but as of right now, with no daily divergence, that means, hey, this, as long as it's by that center line and when it crosses up, it can go positive. It looks like we could test that high, go make a new one. So something I'm paying attention to for something like Jpmorgan is that kind of 263.52 level. We can see that at that level, we see this wick around 266. 266 looks very, very nice for us to get to, see some kind of pullback, and then curl back to the upside, and you would see that easy little head and shoulders. So if we blow past that, then we would like to use that level most likely as some kind of support to head higher. But Jpmorgan, 2-hour divergence, forming 30-minute divergence right now. VIX going up by 10%. SPY dropping down to sweep the lows outside of a weekly expected move, going to a month. All of this is pointing to everyone would be caught off guard if this bottoms. So YS is going to put so much money into the market that he causes it to bottom for you. And there's really, I mean, there's really two things that I really like to see in this world, and that's you know, two kinds of bottoms, my wife's and the markets. And I think this is looking like a bottom to me, so I'm pretty excited. See, Mark gets it. See, Mark, I had to put a little dad joke in there, you know. Okay, yeah, Richard literally calling it a dad joke. I had to put one joke in the day, you know. Trump on a call with Mexico, and we could see resolution there. We could see a lot of things happen. So the only bummer is for Jpmorgan or something like that, I would love to have a daily expected move, but we can't make those till tonight. So we will have daily expected moves for Patreon members tonight for Friday close. Okay, so if you want to join Patreon, you can, first of all, it's early on in the month. You see how we're at, You see how the SPY is towards this yellow line? There are a lot of stocks towards that yellow line too, potentially making setups, and we might have mentioned a couple of those this morning with great setups. Okay, so this is something that can really help you out, and we also give out daily expected moves for Fridays on Patreon. You saved us a lot of money, to be honest. Well, it's just, you know, I don't know how exactly. I'm just talking about the decision making, and if that's lining up with something you're looking at, hey, I totally understand. But something that I try to do a lot of the time, emotions hit me in the market all the time, right? You can't take emotion out of trading, but you can control it, and that's what I'm trying to do. You might hear me get excited, you might hear me get bummed out, you might hear me get this, but the whole time I'm doing those things, I'm still in control and paying attention to the right things. Is this holding as a base? Is this unconfirming? Is this holding as a base? Is this unconfirming? Now we're at a monthly expected move. If we make that divergence point, I'm I'm going to flip the script here and go from bearish to bullish. That's just how it's going to go. Now, if we make that upward move and the 2-hour crosses back down, I'll go right back to bearish, right? I'll say we're making a stronger base. I do not care about being a flip-flopper. Tesla again. Okay, we do need to talk about Tesla. Tesla, once again, great reversal signal. What did we just mention? Hey, what if that fails, right? Right now, you would say it's attempting to fail. You're seeing that cross down with the price action and the RSI. That means we can do something like this. What are we talking about in a lot of these stocks? Sweeping the lows. What if we sweep the low and then we curl back up, and right as you get bearish, like really bearish, it starts to go bullish, and that's what I'd be really watching at this moment. We see that the PCC for yesterday, or the CPC, sorry, landing at 7.76. So overall, a downward move today will make people who were bullish yesterday feel very bad. It'll make them feel very bad, okay? Now, for Tesla, I think the only thing you don't want, I really still don't think you want this 2-hour to confirm down, but it can confirm down for like a moment and then come back up. Either way, you want to make sure things are confirming back to the upside. So the 2-hour crossing would just convince me like, hey, something more volatile can happen here. Maybe this is actually failing the signal. Maybe we're going to reach down lower. So if this 30-minute divergence does not produce here, then that 2-hour most likely does cross, and it can be a little more worrisome. So that's what I pay attention to. But you know, people like Tesla's collapsing. It's still, you know, not even losing Tuesday's low. I hope it does lose the low, because it would really get people bearish, and then we see one buy come in to save it, and then people might actually catch that momentum to the upside. I've been sitting in an AMD long. AMD, very interesting to me, but same thing, right? Same thing. Now, AMD saw a little bit more positivity. Isn't that cool? Isn't this interesting? Isn't this interesting, right? You are flagging more for AMD here. Now, why is that important? Well, because AMD had the great reversal signals on the 30-minute here, and they've held the entire time closer and closer to the center line every time. So once you're the closer one to the center line, you notice that crosses up and you actually see that positive move to take back the 5. You're overall flagging here. I don't think this is too worrisome. You don't have the best 2-hour signals, so you still want to be aware if that makes another move like this, it can fail and completely wipe that out. To make the 2-hour base to really get people bearish. But I think people are pretty bearish right now, and I think we're going to end up seeing some kind of upward move soon. So I'd be paying attention to if my stock just has good signals, right? And even if it doesn't have the best signals, if everything starts to go up, I think most things will start to head to the upside. All right, we're going to do this. See if we can get that real quick in a little bit. Poor Tesla. Where's the bottom? Yeah, so it's hard to tell where the bottom exactly is for Tesla at this exact moment, but we could say that Tesla has a lot more downside, okay? A lot. Like, according to monthly expected moves, Tesla could have more downside. And then the last thing I will check for Tesla is right now. This is when you want to pay attention, right now. right now. Yeah, like today's going to be the day where Tesla potentially makes the reversal signal. This is actually exactly the levels where you want to be paying attention. So they're like, how low could it go? Well, you want to be watching this right now. That's what I would say. You want to be watching this at this exact moment. If it can sweep the lows, it would be nicer for a trader. But this thing could just curl back up on like a 15-minute, right? It could just curl back up and go positive right away. So I think they want this. I think they want retail nice and bearish, nice and bearish. Yes, be bearish, be bearish, be bearish. Well, volatility doesn't even break even higher than the previous day, but we're breaking down to the previous lows right now. Or at least these highs over here from Tuesday. We're at the lows from Tuesday. We're not at the same level of volatility, so volatility is starting to subside a little bit, actually, even with a 10% move up. Now, that can continue. The 2-hour can go make that reversal signal real quick, so just be aware of that. We could make some kind of divergence here. But if that 30-minute curls back down, volatility looks like that might break below the 5. And the SPY actually has reversal signals. And right after we do that, let's go look over at this guy. I'm going to keep an eye on some of these because we're already seeing stuff like this, right? Oh, wait, I have Jpmorgan actually selected now. We're seeing the wick come in. This is when I want to be really watching this guy, okay? It doesn't have to curl down, right? We don't have to curl down on this MACD and RSI. Let's see, where is this guy at? Yeah, we don't even have to curl down for this to be a potential divert. Like, I'm still watching a 15-minute. If that curls up, what do you have? You just have that elongated divergence. It's kind of like a confirmation of the rejection divergence we could see on the 30-minute. So I'm watching. When everyone's bearish is when I'm bullish. Exactly. And the good part is, everyone can be bearish or everyone can be bullish, and it could take place for a little while, but if you know what things to look for, then your timing can actually be pretty good, right? People have been very bullish people have been very bearish for a while. Let's say people have been very bearish, people have been very bearish, people have been very bearish. Well, they're very bearish. Hey, they're still bearish. Hey, they're still bearish. But when do we actually pay attention? Well, one, if you see reversal signal, there's potential attempts, right? We got an attempt here. We had a little attempt here with shitty signals. But when do we really pay attention? When do we really start to go, okay, something's going on here? It's at the monthly expected move, right? So I can say, hey, people are really bearish here. So that means I'm a contrarian, we could easily bounce. No, what if I'm a contrarian here and I go, let me make sure these bounces are showing reversal signals. Okay, that one failed. Okay, maybe we are heading that monthly expected move. So now I'm going to look for signals down in this area. And that's it, right? Once you do that, once you really understand what's going on throughout the month and you see that bearish sentiment, and you keep seeing things curl down and go negative, go negative, go negative, well, when do you pay attention? Once you're at the level that was completely priced in by the options market for the entire month, and we're there in the first week, this is when we pay attention. So it's a bad idea to short Tesla right now. Well, I mean, it would be, here's how we like to explain that. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. You have a daily MACD that is really, really low. You're completely oversold. What room to the downside are you looking for? Let me do this, right? Let's do this. We do this sometimes. Let's put up the Bollinger Bands, if they're going to load. All right, there's your Bollinger Bands. Okay, so if you're potentially taking a short and this market doesn't experience some kind of black swan moment, or Tesla doesn't experience some kind of black swan moment, it's actually making reversal signals here while you're at the bottom Bollinger. So the Bollinger Bands alone would tell you this. If shorting right now, your reward could be to 254, but your risk is you see a snapback all the way to 390 by the end of the month. That would be wild. That would be crazy. I don't think that's going to happen, but we talk about the risk to reward very drastically to easily show off a bad decision, right? If anything, I'm looking for reversal signals to make the good decision, right? It's kind of like if you've studied probabilities and statistics, you go, this is X, this is not X, right? So if X is risky, then not X might be less risky. Does that make sense? If X is risky, then not X might be less risky. And you see that because if we just flip this and we say, how risky is not X? Well, this is your potential reward for not X. This is your potential risk, right? If we clear that up, we can understand very clearly, hey, what would happen here to cause Tesla to completely collapse? It would be a very black swan type moment for Tesla, especially as this is oversold, especially as you're holding daily divergence very, very tight, but it is there on your RSI, especially when lower high is the very likely thing, okay? So it looks like you're going to bounce from here. If it curls down though on the 2 hour, I don't want to be in those calls anymore, right? That's how I manage my risk. I say, if the daily is going to go that way, if we're going to see a big move to the upside, then I can't see this 2 hour going down, right? It's just very like common sense type of thinking. If the 2 hour crosses down here, it's not a good thing. And Jpmorgan just saw a decent move. I mean, that was the one I'm making a decision with today. Yeah, if you take this very simply, and then you also add on top of that, if you're part of Patreon, you understand where those monthly and weekly expected moves are, and you go, okay, Tesla can drop a little bit lower on that monthly move, but it's showing me reversal now. That doesn't have to touch there right now. We're building in this area. You're starting to consolidate more and more, right? We're not seeing those big drops anymore. We're more so just seeing, hey, we're seeing medium drops, right? Medium drops, smaller, 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 then maybe a big move comes in either direction. If that big move goes to the downside, then this 2 hours is going to be crossed, so why would I take a call? But if this flashes down, wicks up, and turns back to the upside, I have easy triple divergence, right? It's just waiting for the actual time for the, like, when is it the actual opportunity, and when is it the time to actually take that opportunity is kind of what you're discussing with Tesla. Yeah, Jpmorgan looking pretty nice, right? We were talking about this one this morning. This is one of the best signals I see on a stock that we were looking for a daily pullback. This looks like some kind of ABC move that's starting to slow down. I'm sure it might even be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, bam, and it's getting tight. That's nice. So, hey, 30 minutes giving you the signal. Maybe I want to look at a 15 in case I want to see if that's able to confirm back to the upside, but this just looks like NVIDIA. The market just looks like NVIDIA from the past. We'll see it. We'll still see if this needs to drop lower, right? I think they still want people to get bearish throughout the day, but Jpmorgan already seeing a nice little bounce from those levels. We'll see if it can confirm back to the upside, though. What else are we looking at? I think we can't get more bearish than yesterday. Well, if we take into consideration maybe some simple things, right? We can take into consideration some simple things as well, right? We try to keep it very simple to formulate why we are arguing that this could be a potential bottom. Well, if you're saying, I don't think people could get more bearish, technically, you're sitting at a 19. A week ago, you were at 18. You were more bearish a week ago. Or at least you were more extremely fearful a week ago. Now, we'll see if this changes and goes to those lower levels. We'll see. But I'm just saying, if we look at that very simply, we go, okay, people are extremely fearful. Let's just read into it that way and say, if we see a reversal signal that looks bullish, that extreme fear is not justified anymore. And most likely, we're going to go into a fear. Then we're going to go into a neutral. Then once you get to a neutral, you're going to see a good pullback to really fake people out. You're going to go back into fear. And then you're going to see a major upward move that shoots you into greed and maybe even extreme greed. And if we shoot into extreme greed, all of a sudden we start to see rate cuts. We start to see topping signals from the SPY. Maybe the Qs aren't able to go to a new all-time high. We'll be watching, right? We're just watching. Powell talks tomorrow. Powell talks tomorrow at, for me, Central Time, 11:30 a.m. So that would be, for me, that would be for everyone, that would be 3 hours after the open. So he will talk 3 hours after the open, no matter what time zone you are in. RGTI is up. Okay, let's go look at RGTI. That's a good one. RGTI, let's see this. Well, it's holding the tapering. You have triple divergence on your 30-minute, and the 2 hour looks like it wants to make that upward move, and it held those divergences as well. Now, we have to understand this could still do something a little more complex, right? Now, the last time it didn't. The last time, it just boomed, right? We potentially got maybe 30-minute divergence in here, and then it boomed. So now you're at that same level and you're going, hey, that 2 hours picking up, but if this remains kind of lackluster, this could see another drop down to give you that actual solid 2 hour divergence on the MACD and RSI at the same time. But it is on the RSI, which means this could attempt to make a bottom here. And I want to pay attention if that 2 hour could potentially get all the way up to something like $10 would be very nice before you see a little pullback to retest the 5. I would really, really like that kind of action. We see that if you look at this across, you see this little like zone. You see this little zone, and look at the gaps in that zone and look at the behavior in this area. You see touches in this area. You see moves out of that, flashes back in it, flashes into it to use it as support, breakdown area, gap up to that area, gap through that area, gap through that area, right? Use it as support again. So this is where I'd really be paying attention. And if the 2 hour gets there, I would be looking for higher lows. But I know that if that 2 hour crosses and it's still any type of close to negative, I just want to be very cautious with thinking like, hey, this can't go beat this low and go make a new one. But it looks pretty good. I mean, the 30-minute signals are pretty damn good. So if the daily is able to curl up at the end of it all, I think you're potentially going to sell off again if you can get all the way to this zone. But if that daily would cross up here, hey, you might see that extension all the way to 1550 and then see another one of these wicks come in. It's very negative. The reason for fear today is Powell talks tomorrow. I think you, as the market, you would rather see good data tomorrow than you would rather have Jerome Powell talk nicely. You would rather see good data. And you have non-farm payroll. Two of the most important pieces of data are tomorrow: non-farm payrolls and unemployment. Those days are literally some of the most important. And sometimes you see lackluster reactions, and then you get that big reaction at the end of the day. Why? Because it's on Friday. Because it's on Friday, you can see very, very weird behavior with data in the morning. And then by the afternoon, you'll see people making decisions by the end of the day. What else we got? QQQ is at a weekly, so it has reason to hold here. Yes, Toronto. Yes. Prospects. Sorry, I'm reading the Seeking Alpha stuff. Seeking Alpha, the company's near-term prospects hinge on developing scalable quantum systems, but it struggles with revenue growth and financial stability. That's kind of how quantum computing and AI have gone. They have struggled to make it actually profitable at the consumer level, right? Everyone's worried about making things profitable on the consumer level, right? Why is that? Why would everyone really want profitability on the consumer level? Meaning a level that means you and I pay and use it. What will make you confident of a bottom today? Yeah, we'll discuss that in a moment, but it's pretty much 30-minute divergence here would be a nice bottom. The only thing that you're talking about with this bottoming that could happen is if you sweep the lows and turn back up, you could have a bottom, but you need to see good data in the morning that can easily ship you right back down. The other thing is we're still going to figure out if that bottoms out, if we get these things to confirm. Right now, it's not confirming, right? The 30 minutes curling down, that's bad, right? Moves outside of a monthly are bad and they can get crazy. So I'm not trying to buy this down here. I'm trying to buy this once I see it. Once I see it, show me the positive. Show me the money, right? Hey, thank you, Lizard, for telling me. Show me the money, though. Show me the setup. Show me the trade. Show me what I need to react to. Show me what I'm planning, and that could be a bottom, right? But for now, it's starting to bounce, and this still could be a bottom, right? This still could be. It still has the 2-hour signals on a lot of other charts. So what we need to see is how bullish can this get if we do make a bottom here today and tomorrow. How bullish can this get? Because if it's just like this, yeah, that can easily fall by Friday, right? And that would be where we maybe make a 2-hour divergence. But if it's like this and we just see a boom, And then maybe people are like, oh no, the data. And then boom, with Jerome Powell, we really break through. That's a lot different. You're breaking through key levels. But the reason that everyone wants to be, yeah, I want it to prove itself, right? You probably hear me say a lot of the time, prove itself. And I've actually heard other YouTubers start to say that. I'm trying to figure out, like, I'm like, man, are we all using the same language all the time? But this here, prove itself means, and I actually heard someone discuss like what, because it's hard to put it into words when you use the phrase prove yourself, but I heard someone talk about the words prove itself, and it was fantastic. You don't want to take a trade trying to have the market prove that you are right. You want to take a trade and then prove the market is right. Right? I don't want to take a trade here and say, I think the market's going to go up. Because that's me trying to have the market prove me right. I want the market to prove itself. Prove it yourself, and then I will bet behind you. Right? It's almost like this. If I was betting on a horse, and I just randomly look at the horse and I go, oh, it ran fast once. That's really good. I'm going to bet on that, and that thing's going to win. Or would the smarter thing to be, watch it for a little bit more time, look at it do behavior over time, and then make a decision. And then have that horse prove you right when you've done your analysis and said, wow, this horse looks to be stronger because of this, and this behavior. That is why I'm willing to make that bet. And that's when the momentum's going up and that horse has proved itself to you. And that's kind of what I liked about that language usage. SPX, similar boat, and we do give out levels for the SPX. We're not going to have right levels on here. We've been looking at futures for these. Something you're watching for the SPX is just your 2 hour is your 30 minutes. So if this is going to be a base, then you're going to see that 2 hour try to curl back up here. I still would like this swept though. I would like that swept just for a brief moment and then come back up. What if the horse takes off without you? You missed the opportunity. Am I going to chase a horse, right? Can I make a lot of money out of the play? It's kind of like this. If you take, let's switch the scenario. If I take a bet that an NFL team is going to win a game, and then they win that game, I make a good amount of money, right? But if I bet that an NFL team is going to win a game when they're up by 40 points, and the other team, and there's not a lot of time left, hey, I can make a little bit of money, right? Don't you make less money that way, right? Could be swept another day, that's right, props. It could be a 2 hour sweep later on. But that's what I'm kind of talking about here. It's if you miss out, this is called FOMO, right? You're talking about the horse takes off without you. That's FOMO. That's how FOMO gets you. Because right when they're doing good things, you go, oh yeah, they could do better. You get all excited. Everyone's betting on this one horse. Everyone's betting on this one team. And then all of a sudden, the other team intercepts the ball. The other team starts to run it down and score a touchdown. And then maybe you get the ball back, so you bounce up. And then maybe you almost get a touchdown, but then you throw another interception. And then it starts coming back down again, right? So that's more of a FOMO situation to me. We did talk about Starbucks a little bit. I don't think too much is to be seen there just yet. We haven't gone over Plug, and I want to do this real quick because Plug is a stock that I used to pay attention to a lot. This is one of the stocks that I used to pay attention to a lot. And look at that too. Oh my God. Thank you for bringing up Plug. Holy crap. Plug Power with a great looking divergence here. You're holding every single divergence point on this MACD. Bam. You're holding every single divergence point on this RSI. Bam. And the 2 hours crossing up. This means the daily most likely has already curled. Okay, yeah, it has. The daily has already curled up. This is suggesting that the daily divergence is holding as well and suggesting that we could see a reaction here. Now, where would we most likely react to? There's a lot of areas where you could stop this move, right? You could stop at 186, very obvious level. The level that I'd really pay attention to is 219 if positivity comes in. That's your breakdown from that low that really when you lose that and you retested it once, you really saw that downside again. And if you're going to see this thing get extremely bullish, then 266 is what I would watch. If you could break through all of that, hey, Plug's got a shot. right? Plug might have weekly divergence here as well. Yeah, see weekly divergence. So if that weekly turns up, plug, shit, you could see plug go to 460. You could see plug go all the way to 750, in my opinion. Don't let it prove itself or it's FOMO. That's not what I'm saying at all. If you cannot, you shouldn't be trading then. If you can't understand the difference between when something proves itself versus a massive gap up or a massive move that's hard to react to, right? What if I just look over at the SPY for a minute and Jpmorgan goes like this? The play was down here. If I miss it, I'm not going to FOMO up here. That if you don't understand the difference, I'm not saying prove itself like this. I'm saying prove itself by doing this, and then I can make a decision. But let's say I just go to lunch and it happens while I'm at lunch. Am I going to now completely ruin my plan? My plan was to get in if it curls up over here. Okay, so am I going to get in over here because because my plan was to get in if I see it prove itself? Yeah, it's proving itself, but it already proved. So the thing that you're getting at is you are misconstruing what I'm saying. You are saying prove itself. You're taking the play when it's already proved, past tense itself. Proved. ED. Proved. I'm talking about when it is proving itself. The actual present time. You are talking about a past tense. I am talking about the present tense. Meaning I am paying attention to reaction. You are paying attention to if the stock looks really nice. Nice looking stocks usually treat you very poorly. Yeah, don't misconstrue. And I'm not trying to come at anyone or anything like that. No, that's not the case at all. I'm more just trying to help you understand what I'm saying here. This is not proving itself. Right here is. This is not. This is already proved. And you missed the proving. You missed the confirmation. Now, if I miss the confirmation here and it's right here, I can still make decisions, right? But if I miss it and it's here, I might have a little bit less of I might have a little more risk than reward. Right now, why would we be looking for this while it's proving at lower levels? Well, because our risk and reward are very different. So if this would prove right now, not prove now, prove tomorrow, prove the next day, prove the next day. No, when did it prove the first time? What you're trying to do if you're taking plays up here is say, I'm trying to take the least risky plays possible. People think when they see a bunch of green bars like this, it's the least risky play possible. No, the least risky play possible is when you catch it proving itself while everyone is bearish on the stock. At least that's how I see it. Take my, you can take all opinions on the internet with a grain of salt. Plug did have a horrible earnings recently. Google and Apple are doing well. Kind of surprising to see Apple doing so well, honestly. It's such a weird looking signal. Amazon, I did see someone ask about Amazon. Amazon, once again, the 2-hour divergence is mainly what I'm watching here, and just going, anything below this looks like I wouldn't hate on anyone making decisions with Amazon. Thanks, Zach. Yeah, I just try to clear that up because I know some things that I say can be read into in different ways. So I just want to make sure if someone's having that understanding where I'm talking about it and you think that a stock going up 10, 20% is proving itself. No, usually when it proves itself, it's a little 1% move. That's it. As far as this goes, though, still leaning towards sweeping the lows. I'd really still like these lows swept, but we understand this is a positive MACD, so we have to look at if that thing can flip up at any time. My whole For You page is so bearish. I mean, I looked yesterday, and I'm sorry to mention him, but he did pop up on my For You, whatever the heck feed, and I saw that Now we have Meet Kevin calling that there's going to be a huge recession crash. So maybe we should be paying attention to bottoming out signals. Jpmorgan is starting to produce here. Like, I'm not unhappy with it. I just got to see if that thing can confirm up on a 15 to at least make a decision. And then I have to understand how I can manage the trade, right? I already have, I planned this out yesterday for Jpmorgan. I've been looking at Jpmorgan for a while now, for the last couple of days. In your face, Kevin. Well, I'm just saying, he could end up being right. It's just, to say that yesterday is silly. You know, we were talking about downside on February 19th. And then we were talking about potential bounces, right? And we get those little bounces. We get that, but they're lackluster bounces. They're all dead cat little things. Earliest trade trigger at breakout, so stop. Follows your trade rules. Risk 1 versus reward 3. Exactly. You look for the risk to reward. And you do this in everyday life, by the way, right? If you buy a product and you can buy one of them for $5, but you can buy 3 of them for $9, what are you going to do? You might buy 3, right? Because it makes your money go further. So you want to look for those moments where your money can go further. And I think that's just a little something that I would discuss, but yeah, it's unfortunate with YouTube, GKL, because I have to do a little of those things as well, right? If I'll show you guys. I'll actually show you guys something. Let me go to my videos and I'll just talk about it. Okay, let's put it this way. Let's see. Yesterday's video, I used some, I would say, not necessarily clickbait, but the first thing I put in the title was, I put the craziest day is coming in the thumbnail. And yesterday I put tomorrow, big crash or big bottom. But notice big crash was first. So that's what most people are going to read first. That video gets 4.3K views. Yesterday, I put all bullish things. These stocks say bottom, first attempted bottom, but first attempted bottom, then will it drop more, right? So the first part is bullish, 2.4K views. Immediately about half the amount of views. And that's just the I'm not discussing this as in like people on YouTube are trying to manipulate you. I'm saying the content inside the videos are more important than the titles, because the titles and the descriptions and all these things and the thumbnails are all there to try to get exposure. That is what YouTube is for. I wish that I could just put stock market technical analysis February 6th. I wish I could do that. YouTube, it just doesn't work that way. And that's unfortunate. So I would say this to anyone trying to learn in the stock world: pay attention to the content of the video, and then maybe pay attention 2 weeks later to see if some of the things those people were talking about held as true. Man, I guess tomorrow's jobs is bigger than I thought, right, Dubs? I think it is. I think it's pretty important. So that, and I'm sorry, I just want people to know that, especially if you're someone new trying to learn on YouTube and you see these titles and people are very confident, you think they're very confident with those titles. I will actually say this about one person on YouTube, because I will give, respect where respect is due. There are, and I would actually say this about someone specifically. Look for people who are trying to be at least the most honest, right? Even if they're seeing things that are weird, they're still giving you a little bit of both sides, but maybe something that they are trying to be like, we are looking like this right now. And I actually think that Ron Walker is not the worst person about this. He always opens the door to those possibilities from the, 7 videos I think I've watched. I actually think I respect him because at least he's willing to put out his opinion. Right now, I think you're in a time where a lot of YouTubers, because me, myself, I post very early. I think you're in a time where a lot of YouTubers are watching. At least that's how I feel about it, because some of the things are just too in tandem. I think some YouTubers trying to come up, or maybe are struggling, are trying to back off of people. And I think that's why people like me, Kevin, end up with crash videos at the exact time that we're bottoming, is because he reads into what everyone else is posting, not trying to make his own assessment, if that makes sense. When SPY will give you a good signal to enter? Right now, we're still waiting. Actually, I still want to see if these lows are swept. I would say this, if the 15-minute can confirm back up and we can start to take back that 5 right now, that would be pretty good. Exactly. So Sid, you're pointing out two great ones. Two great ones like that. Like, you watch those people's videos. If you go watch, I don't think I've watched enough Elite Trading to talk about him, but Figuring Out Money is someone that I really, really respect. I would love to connect with him and bring him onto the live show at some point for our day traders out there. But when you watch those videos, do you get the sense of this is this person's opinion? This is, like, at least if you're putting a video on YouTube, it should be your opinion. That's how I put it. Yeah, CS is saying what everyone in chat says when we bring up anytime Ron Walker's. I think we've maybe talked about him like 3 times in 2024, and every single time there's one person that's like, he needs to make his videos shorter. I've been looking at the structure of my videos lately, and I'm trying to make them more helpful. So I'm trying to see what the most helpful thing is. Like, do you guys feel like videos, and I'm just doing this for feedback, do you guys think videos that I put out on YouTube, are they better when we just go through a lot of the stocks? Or do you think it's better when we actually, like, look at the SPY and the Qs directly and just be like, okay, this is, you know, we really focus on those? Or do you think it's kind of nice that we kind of do a little different every once in a while? It's kind of like a 1 out of 5 videos will be very different. Johnny Bravo has clickbaity videos. Johnny Bravo is someone that I watched very early on in my trading. Once I got into technicals, because he was talking about swing trading a lot. The thing I don't like about Johnny Bravo is how he's changed over the last, I think I watched him like six years ago or something like that. I saw a video of his, I want to say 6 months ago. I don't think I've watched him in 6 months. He strictly said 6 years ago, technicals are everything, and it doesn't matter what the news says, and if you see confirmations up, yeah. And I agreed with that. You know, I could see that because money matters more. But for now, it's more, he seems to have switched to a bunch of news stories to write something bearish. I think he's playing the algorithm. That's what I think. When you point out great setups. Okay, good, Finn. I'm glad to hear some of that feedback, guys. Your video lengths are great. The longest is only 30 minutes. Like, you cover all the stocks, but maybe add or switch out for gold, Bitcoin. Okay, so we could get a little bit more different things. And that's why we've left Jpmorgan on the Patreon. Though, like, we're going to make monthly, we don't have monthly expected moves on, I don't think, for Jpmorgan. Do we have monthly for Jpmorgan? I don't remember. When did the month end? I'm pretty sure we do, don't we? Let me go check. I can't remember the timing of it, but actually, yeah, we do. Let me go look at this calculation and see if we can find it. 54.65. Yeah, we do actually have them. Okay, I wasn't sure if that trade setup, like, we started to make those ranges. So I think we do actually have monthly expected moves for Jpmorgan, and if so, I'm sorry, I'm having trouble remembering if that was calculated on time, right? These calculations have to be on time. If so, you're at a monthly expected move right now for Jpmorgan with big reversal signals, just so you're aware. You have 30-minute divergence and 2-hour divergence all at the same time at a monthly expected move for Jpmorgan. If I might have to go back through my videos. Let me actually, there's a very easy way for me to do this. Let me go look at Patreon and go look at the monthly expected moves that I posted there. I don't want to do you guys a disservice, you know, so we're going to go for monthly expected moves. Jpmorgan is on there. Okay, so we do have monthly expected moves for Jpmorgan, but I wanted to have one kind of finance stock, kind of just like in the finances, so a bank stock would be great for that. And then GLD is another one that we could start to talk about, but I like to look at futures for this. Even though I trade GLD, I like to look at futures for it. Because we kind of have some memers in there throughout each day. We have a lot of the Mag 7, so I'm kind of down to see if we can make some little changes. Now, be aware of this, okay? Something to be very aware of right now. We left behind a gap. That always invites that gap to be potentially filled, and then we go sweep the lows today. All right, let's just keep that in consideration. Now, if this starts to get that and take back the 5, we see that strong move, and we keep the 5 by the end of the day, that's when we might be paying a little bit more attention to upside. I'm out of here. Appreciate you being here, Beatdown King. Thank you so much for being here today, but I hope you have a good one, my man. What do you think of the V-bounce on Tesla? It needed that. I think it needs some kind of positivity to kick in, and everyone bearish on this, but I'm like, you know, we're not even chopping the low from Tuesday. It still can. I think that this would be nice. If we're looking at this, I mean, it's still holding up really well. Why is TLT getting wrecked so bad? Let's talk about that for a moment. Well, TLT is getting wrecked so bad because a couple of days ago we were talking about how we were heading into this 4.168, and it looked like some structure we might want to build is a left head and possibly even that right shoulder. Now, the other reason that we could be seeing a bounce here is you have 2-hour divergence, right? The other reason might be if we look at the 4-hour and we see all that 4-hour divergence on the RSI. It's pretty, yeah, I mean, and this looks like what? Divergence on the MACD and RSI at the same time. So very likely bottom here. It's a TLT trade pretty much. Yeah, so the things we talked about a few days ago are happening. That's it. Happy positive vibes, BK. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Nice to see you, my dude. Even if you hear me call you dude. Did you guys see my comment regarding Wolf speed? Let's go look at Wolf real quick. Wolfie boy, sorry, he's not on my side anymore. I accidentally deleted him. This looks like a retest. I mean, 4-hour retest. I mean, I know we're on a 4-hour chart. Let's look at the 2-hour. So 2-hour, going to be a little bit difficult here to go positive, but it still can, right? We still had daily divergence down here that has been violated. So you're looking for this daily to turn up again, and you're really making a floor here if this daily can fully curl back up. If you can see good positivity, this could be a time where, hey, we broke out, we get the retest, we curl back up with another potential divergence point here, right? We see that. We see that. So now we're going, okay, if that daily curls up, it looks like good stuff. The 2-hour, showing little forms, right? Can that 2-hour cross up? Might need to make a stronger base first, right? But that 30-minute is saying that 2-hour has a good shot to turn up now. So thank you for pointing out Wolf. It's funny, if I don't have it on my list, I probably should add it. Wolf, we'll just add that to the list down there. We're not gonna have weekly expected moves for it all the time, but Wolf is one that we like to pay attention to for one of those sporadic ones, right? And divergence on the weekly, exactly. So you're paying attention at the right time, and now you're kind of getting micro with it, right? If you're looking for a massive move, maybe like these over here, which I think I was able to catch one of these. I think it was this one. But if you're trying to look for that massive move, okay, then would I say this is all going to happen in a week? This thing's going to get to, this thing is going to 200% in a week. No, I'd potentially be like, maybe it could 2%, or maybe it could 200% in the next, or maybe this could 200% in the next maybe 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, year, right? Yeah, we've looked at Wolfie Boy before. We used to have ranges for it. So I was using Wolf to test a short sale theory, and it worked. And I was able to make, like, I think I turned $50 because I like to put money behind a play. Even if it's a test, I like to see how my emotions go. And then it ran into a weekly expected move when I created it. And I think I turned $50 into $1,200 or something like that. And I was like, whoa. Wish I had more behind that, you know? Top of the morning to you, top synopsis. Any chance you could look at AZ? Oh. Yeah, we'll look at AZO. Let's go look at that, and then we're going to get back into the SPY and go check on volatility for our boy Sid. See, the problem with this is if you see negativity today, that would be a big deal. I don't. Eventually, this might see a mean pullback, but it's nice. It has a lot of stuff going on in here, so you can hold up a lot. So that's why these curl ups and curl downs are very, very nice. But you're starting to get tight, so most likely a big move coming. First break is to the upside. If that would fade today, I'd really be watching. You are still holding divergence on that MACD. The RSI still holding the first divergence point, so if that gets violated, we're a little bit more like this could continue. But if this would turn down in the next like trading session, I'd be a little bit cautious with it. 2 hour here. Yeah, you see that 2 hour just kind of climbing. So just be aware if that crosses. There's no real divergence here, right? Divergence is what caused this to actually lose the 5. So we'll see if it can maybe do that, fake people out and then go. But earnings around this will be a little bit difficult. It might be difficult to make money because of IV. You like it when I mix it up a little bit? Okay. I'll keep it in consideration. Because I think I like what we're doing right now. I think it's proven to be pretty helpful. I'm just looking at ways to make it as helpful as possible. Market is crashing? No. Volatility just turned down. Volatility looks like it might even want to curl down on a 30-minute. This is like the opposite of crashing. Very unlikely to see a crash while every retail person, or at least most retail, is bearish at the downward monthly expected move. Dark pool activity, I just started to research that, Dubs, in 2024. I was not a big dark pool person until this year, and I really didn't feel like I had to be until I started seeing that data that dark pool is overtaking lit market trades, so off exchange bigger than lit market. So I have been looking into that in 2024. I probably haven't looked into it as much as I should, but I will. I actually will. I will potentially be doing that. I'm going to hopefully reach out to potentially Bookmaps again because I lost their email when they tried to do some kind of sponsorship, and I've used Bookmap before, so I'll look into that. But if I can find a better system than Bookmap, that's what I'll be using. If I can find a free system, I'll probably use that as well. So right now I have a free system, but it's just delayed super hard. It's delayed by like 4 days or something. Thanks, Brett. Appreciate you saying that, buddy. Nice to see you this morning. Can we check out Google? Yeah, you can check out Google. Google again, 30-minute. Look at that. Extreme divergence here, right? We see how we just see how significant that is, and that curls up a 2 hour a lot of the time. Now, you still have to watch, right? Is this absolutely insane buying pressure? It's pretty good. I would say it's pretty good. It's not anything too crazy, but we notice what from this 2 hour, you have the divergence on the RSI, not on the MACD. So we want to be aware that that could fail, right? We don't see signals that that's going to fail. We see positivity, so it's not failing. We're just aware of if something needs to make a stronger base for Google. That I think would be how it does it. God dang, freaking hiccups. So it's pretty simple too. I mean, you're looking for the daily to cross up and you're looking for a daily lower high. That's how I see it right now. We'll see if extreme bullishness comes in and lower high becomes less likely. But right now, lower high seems very likely for the daily chart for Google. And you have great reversal signals on the 30-minute. There was the decision was here, right? This bar right here at 171, and now it's been a 5-point move. But is that extremely good from the buying, right? I would potentially say not so much, right? If we kind of exclude this down here, you kind of include this and you kind of just go like that and clone it, you're going to see that we're holding in this very, very well at this moment, right? The wick taking you outside of it. Potentially need to put that a little lower, maybe like this. This looks like to me. So that's just all I'm aware of. If the 2 hour crosses down bad, if this can keep going, that would be very good. Good thing I sold my Google puts this morning. Yeah, you might be a little happy with that. But 2 hour cross down bad, 30-minute crosses down, you're still okay, right? Because this doesn't mean big selling right away. The 30-minute is pretty positive now. yeah, you're pretty positive to where a pullback would still potentially be met with buyer demand. But it depends on your trade, it depends on expiration, it depends on everything, because this 30-minute crosses and keeps going, 2-hour crosses keeps going. Okay, now you're down at the lows, getting nice and bearish, then you see this and you go, oh, okay, so my timing was off. Yeah, nice little setup though. We'll see. I don't think Google's like the best setup in the world. That's why I didn't mention it. I mentioned 3 stocks that I think are very good at the beginning of this video. And one of them is already showing some positivity. AVGO earnings, that's going to be 50-50 flip, baby. What was your thinking, Richard? I want to know what your thinking was, Richard. Let's talk about it. Volume leaders. Oh yeah, volume leaders. That was the other one. Let's put this on my other my other list of things that I need. This was volume leaders or the book map. Okay. I went off at jank divergence and the Qs being near the monthly. Well, the Qs are near the monthly, but you have to understand this 30-minute could still go further. I still think you want that moment to sweep the low. But, you know, it doesn't matter what I think. It matters, does this take back the 5 and then see that curl down and see that curl? You know, that's what really matters. And it's like, we could do all of this today. Friday morning, we could get bad data. And then by, you know, 3 hours after that data comes out, we could start to turn that upward direction again. So we're just watching it. But right now, the 30-minute looks like, hey, we could still potentially sweep the lows, right? Get people's stops out. I just think Meta, Amazon, and Jpmorgan are just too good of setups not to see right now. Possibly, Ian. I think that's an okay thing to say. We just want to see if we get that 2-hour move higher from volatility first. We could squeeze today. I think, Matthew, I think you're correct. But we could also sweep the lows and then squeeze after expiration this week. I'm thinking of shorting when we reject from the 5. That is where people make those type of decisions, Toronto. A lot of good traders, they won't make the decision here. Even if they want to short in this type of environment, they're going to wait for the bounce, test the 5, then apply those short positions, drop down again. Test the 5, apply those short positions, drop down again. Test the 5, apply those short positions, drop down again. A lot of day traders will do things like that. Oh, Meta looks great. Yeah, we can talk about Meta again. I think it looks fantastic. Now, I think it could look not fantastic soon. Right? I think it could not look fantastic first, come down to these type of levels and show you that 30-minute divergence, right? That would be the best opportunity for Meta. You would get extremely good prices. People would get very bearish on Meta all of a sudden. But the reason we're paying attention to Meta is just look at that 2-hour divergence, man. You can't ignore that. Like, holy crap. Does that look good or what? And you're going, Meta can drop down lower. Meta can drop down significantly lower, right? Meta can drop down to $600 and probably make some sense. But for this week, if we go down to these levels again, and actually, just because weekly expected moves and, you know, some people don't have them, one thing to pay attention to for Meta is if it even crosses on the 30-minute and makes a higher low. Because your weekly expected move is not down here. Your weekly expected move is actually like somewhere around here. So you could cut that, then see that turn back up, and that would be a higher low. It's an extended 30-minute move to get to that 5, so. But 2-hour divergence looks fantastic, and even if I didn't make a decision here, well, guess what? If I made the decision right here, this is actually a better price. So maybe I wait for that 30 minutes, see if that curls down, curls back up. Maybe I just look at a 15, see if that curls down and curls back up as it's positive. I like Meta's look, I like Amazon's look, and I love Jpmorgan's look. I think Jpmorgan is just insane. right? Because the difference between Meta and Jpmorgan is Meta went like this, so that positivity caused it to go a little bit positive for the 30-minute. The reason Jpmorgan was more like sweep the lows right away was because it wasn't able to see that positivity and then drop back down. But now we have it. Now we have it. So we'll see if it produces. Now we just see if it proves itself, and while it's proving, we can make a decision. And if it sees some kind of gap up on Friday and goes to here, hey, I might have missed out. All right, I'm not gonna FOMO into something. I'm gonna let the stocks do what the stocks wanna do. And then I'm gonna see if I can make trades, make some money with it. No, it's fine. These are good to look at. So these are very good because they're very obvious plays. You notice Amazon's in the same boat. We don't have to sweep the low for Amazon or Meta. We've already seen that big positivity come in to get almost above the 5 for a bit. Then we give it up, but we're able to go positive, a lot different than Jpmorgan, right? So here, if we drop down, you can still curl back up because you are able to go positive. You don't have to sweep those lows. But as that is curled down, we know that that is a possibility. So I want to be waiting and seeing and seeing and seeing. If it curls up here, awesome, I have a decision. If it curls up all the way down here, awesome, I can still have that decision. If it goes all the way down here and curls up, that would be a no-go. Why? Because we would most likely wipe out these divergences down here on your MACD and RSI. Very nice. Yeah, so Amazon, though, 2-hour divergence, man. You just don't see better 2-hour divergences than this. You really guys. It's something that when it's very, very clear, you have to just appreciate when it's clear and understand that you're still doing all the same things, right? There's still a plan for if it goes wrong. As of right now, it's going wrong, right? So in case this wants to drop down lower, maybe my timing's a little bit off and then I will be right. Would you say there's a triple bottom on the SPX? On the SPX, you could maybe potentially call it that, but I'm still thinking we sweep the lows, man. And looking at the SPY just for our levels, we're so close to a monthly that just something like this would go a long way. I don't think Google is the best setup in the world. If you really want to see setup samurai, I would still be looking for that Meta, Amazon, and Jpmorgan. Those are the three that I really found. I think even Tesla looks okay. Everyone's hating on Tesla. I think it looks just the same as Meta and just the same as Amazon. The only thing is the 2-hour divergence doesn't look as good, but it's still so significant that I think you got to pay attention to it. And then the other one, I mean, NVIDIA could end up being an okay one later on. It just doesn't have the 2-hour divergence yet. But if the daily curls up, I want to be aware of that. No, Google is just not the best setup for positivity. It still can. It still can, right? But I just think that there are more obvious signals out there. I just don't think Google has the great 30-minute divergence, but look at the 2-hour. It's not really there for your 2-hour. You're extremely low. This means you can get one of those ripping kind of bounces and then completely give that up, sweep the lows, and then end up with a divergence down here. So that's just a little more worrisome, I think, for Google, but it is seeing positivity. So if the daily scale can curl up here, you're already seeing that from the RSI. You're seeing it from the price action. Hey, Google can get a snap back from these levels and end up with a lower high. So I think Google is set on, hey, I'm going to get to 182.59. Whether I do that now or whether I need to make that base first is just a matter of timing. GME is a good setup. You are correct to point out GME is a great setup on the daily, and it's trying to give you that confirmation right now. AMC is a good setup and giving you that information saying, hey, I'm trying to potentially even curl up in the next couple of days if I can keep positivity going, right? Someone pointing out Mara. Mara is always interesting to look at because Mara actually does not have daily divergence here. This is most likely affected by Bitcoin at this point. And we notice there's no 2-hour divergence. So just seeing positivity come in with the higher low from the 30-minute. This is where you just pay attention to the center line, right? That center line looks pretty nice. Retest of the 5. Can I curl up off of it? right? You don't have the best 30-minute signals here at all. You really didn't have anything to go off of here for Mara. But if I was someone who wanted to take a play with Mara, I'd look for that strength, look for the retest of the 5, and then make that decision. And that's what happened in these areas. A little bit wonky, but that's what happened in these areas. And now you're going to test these levels again, meaning maybe this is a massive cup and handle, and you're actually going to see that produce some upside. And look at that, 1873 is where that adds up to. Very nice. We'll see. Everything has to hold, right? There are ways for these plays to go wrong. And once you understand that as a trader, managing risk becomes almost second nature. SPY making a nice move, able to curl up this 15-minute. Yeah, let's see that 15-minute in a little bit. Sellers getting exhausted. Well, we've seen this before, though. We've seen the buying lead to selling, the buying lead to selling. What you need is the buying to go up so much that the selling that comes in is just a retest. That's what I think. You need extreme buying to come in. And I think you have that opportunity with Jerome Powell tomorrow. I think you potentially have that opportunity with maybe some kind of tariff news, but that could also tear you down. And then you also have data in the morning that could give you that opportunity. So I would highly be aware and have a plan for if things go wrong, because all of those things that I listed off could be good things, but they could be bad things, right? Everyone seems to FOMO these days. If you get too excited about these kinds of rips, this is the time where I'd be like, okay, at least it makes sense to be a little more excited, but you have to understand these lows can get swept first. We could go up, fill this gap, reject, sweep the lows, turn back up, all within today's price action. That's how volatile we are. I haven't looked at Bitcoin in a bit. Bitcoin, very, very nice to us, by the way, Bitcoin, because all we're looking for is that 2 hour to potentially maybe pull back, maybe to see that upward move, though. Ultimately, you need the daily to confirm up. You're potentially getting that right now. So right as everyone gives up on it, remember when we drew this up for Bitcoin? What if Bitcoin sees this? And we keep going through volatility, but it ends up resolving in the upward direction. 106.4K, we get up to that level, you curl down dramatically to get people out again, and then you curl back up and you'd have the left head and right shoulder you need to really head higher. Isn't that interesting? So we'll see. We need that positivity to kick in, though. Mr. Pickle's like, wow, that seemed too easy. What seemed too easy? Oh no, I want to see. Did you have a good trade? I want to know. And Jpmorgan, you're noticing getting those wicks coming in now. Still waiting to see if this, at least a 15-minute can confirm. We're still pretty far outside of a weekly expected move here. MSTR. Well, you have to understand, MSTR, looking at this 30-minute, what did we have? We had divergence that held the whole time, right? So right here, this should tell me don't do anything to the bear side. This is a reversal signal. Do not do anything to the bear side. It is very likely we are going to test 295. That is what the signal says. If anything, the signal says take calls to 295. That's what it tells me. Now, I don't do that. You guys know how I feel about MSTR, so I don't really do anything with crypto. I will invest in crypto if we see another crypto winter, crypto crash. But MSTR gave you the signals, and now it's producing upside. How's Nvidia liking stuff? Hey, it's still looking pretty good. Tesla, everyone bearish on that. One bearish gap down, all right. Yeah, we can still sweep the lows on all of these things. But right now, we're not doing that. So pretty much this. Let's go with this. You're stuck in a range, right? If you break that range, you're probably heading down to 570.08, maybe cut that in some way, look for that divergence. If we break to the upside, you might have already bottomed and you might break out to something like 590, see that as resistance, maybe even blow past that to 596 and then see that curl up again. Yeah, that's kind of how I would look at it right now. Very nice. Don't mind it at all. Jpmorgan looking pretty good. I'm kind of digging it. Oh my God, you guys, I don't think you understand how excited for today I am. I will try to update Patreon as much as possible today. We'll potentially talk about setups and things like that, because I think it's important for Patreon members to get that info. So we will be talking about Meta, Amazon, and Jpmorgan again, and talk about the SPY and the Qs for our Patreon members. But today we have a full day with a babysitter. So I'm sorry if I'm not looking at charts all day today, because the last 3 times we've tried to have a sitter, they've gotten sick 3 times in a row. So I'm very excited for today. No longer easy to trade, it's hard mode. Caleb, weirdly enough, this is the market I really like. I love this kind of market. It's just, maybe it's sickening. Maybe it's sickening. When everyone's losing their mind, I kind of like this type of market. Whatever, you love your daughter more than us, we get it. Bro, I'm talking about, Richard, I'm talking about making my daughter go hang out with Abuela for a full day so I finally get some time off. Oh, God. We always miss the chicken nugget, but we're very happy to have a day away. We haven't had it in months. We have not had a break, really, in months. Kind of crazy, isn't it? And if you're a parent, you get it. Like, you love your kid, but you want a break. I just started trading 2 weeks ago, so I am getting railed just as much as I'm winning. Yeah, it can be a back and forth game. What I would tell you, Blorlac, something that I would discuss with you is you just started your journey. Take your fucking time. Bro, so many people do this, Blorlac, where they come in, they try to trade, they watch a few YouTube videos, and they say, I'm going to make $1 million in the next year. Think of it this way. If I have $10,000 and I do the right behavior, what if it takes me 30 years to become a millionaire? But if I have $10,000 and I try to do all the crazy stuff to make $1 million in 1 year, well, that might be a problem, because a lot of the time the market is against you, and if you don't know what you're doing, you can lose money much faster. So what I would encourage you to do is use the time to learn. You just started, right? Use the time to learn. If I have $10,000 and I risk 1,000 and I make $500, that's growth. Do you know how much growth that is? 5%. Yeah. Blorlac, take your time. Take your time. And when I say take your time, I really want you to take your time. Okay? You're not where I'm at, and I take my time. You're not where probably a lot of people in this channel are at. I'm probably not at the point where a lot of people in this channel are at. But that means to me, I need to, at least, for me, I can make decisions around this weekly, because my amount of money allows me to do so. I can take more trades and manage risk and feel fine losing the 10, 20%. I have my methods down. But what I would encourage people who are new, join this channel, sit. Don't even take the course. Don't even take the course yet. Just sit and watch. And sit there and learn about how the risk of the market is real, and learn how making good decisions versus bad decisions is real, okay? Learn how, when you might want to make those decisions and how patient you might have to be is when a stock actually goes towards a monthly expected move. I would look for setups like that if I was starting out today and trying to do options. I would be looking for setups around the monthly expected move, because those play out a lot of the time. We've seen Palantir. We've seen Jpmorgan was most likely outside. We've seen Meta. We've seen Amazon. All of these stocks showed reversal signals outside of monthly moves. All of those stocks dropped. All of them. Now, that's not the case all of the time, but if you wanted really less risky plays that are very obvious, you could do that. You could look at monthly expected moves and look for if people are getting over leveraged in a direction and you see reversal signals and you see a nice trade setup. Maybe another thing is just trading the trend. The more it sucks, the better. It's nice to buy the low. Well, it's nice as someone who likes to manage risk in this type of setup, because you can see bigger moves. You can kind of see the downturn coming, like, oh, I don't even have 30-minute divergence. Oh, gosh. Like right here. It's like right here. I don't even have 30-minute divergence, so I think that's going to bounce, right? It could still potentially bounce, but most likely end up going lower. We get that little bounce, we go lower. Then you go, okay, now we have that 30-minute that's showing something on the RSI. It doesn't look very good, but we could see a bigger bounce. Okay, we go up to the 5. That's not the best reversal signal. If I see this 30-minute curl down again, I might be in a short position. Hey, we head to the downside. Now we have the divergence, so I don't want to be a part of this anymore. There's a lot of thinking that goes on in here. Whereas you could just not assume any of that risk in here and wait to see this. Wait to see what's going on at the monthly expected move. Right? If I'm patient, I don't need to take 1,000 trades a month. I don't need to take 1,000 trades a year. I could potentially use monthly expected moves for 10 stocks, see when those stocks have reversal signals at the monthly expected move, and I could potentially have 1 trade setup per month. And if I have 1 trade setup and if I have $10,000 and maybe I have $1,000 and I make $500 every time I make 50%, and 12 of those trades make me 50%, okay, awesome, you have 500 times 12. Right? You got 6, you just grew your account by a huge amount in 1 year. So being patient is something we talk about a lot in the course, and I'm not going to tell you to take that if you're that early on. I want you to stick around, ask questions, see what your thinking is towards the market first, see if you can get a grasp on why we pay attention to these monthly expected moves, and then maybe make that decision to advance your learning. Yeah, Caleb, it's really not. And if you really slow it down to investing, it's nice. But if I was new and really wanting, like I was like, there's no way I'm not doing options, I'd be looking for those plays at the monthly expected move. Once I get a little bit better, I can maybe look for plays at weekly expected moves, but understand that those go wrong more often. Monthlies go wrong the least, weeklies go wrong a little bit more, dailies go wrong all the time. How does one see the monthly expected moves? I give them to you, TJ. I give them to you here on Patreon or on YouTube completely for free. The yellow lines are the monthly expected moves. These are 68% zones. You notice this month is a big one. So you got a lot of volatility. This was priced in by the market. So this is a 68% zone. This is your 32% zone, right? Out in these areas. So that means for the entire month, we have a 68% chance to land in this zone. And early, like think of it critically. If you're seeing that early on in the month, do you have a lot of time? Do you have a lot of time to see that come back into those areas to form a bottom? You do. And that's what we're watching on this channel, right? We try to keep it very clear, and just if you're early on, having monthly expected moves will at least help you in making not a bad decision, right? Because shorting at the lower monthly expected move after this has dropped for a long time with divergences, that's a rough business. Let's put it that way. This market will eat you alive if you let the sentiment of the market and the sentiment of financial media dictate the decisions you make. Make your own decisions. Think for yourself. You are much smarter than you give credit to, guys. You guys are much smarter. That's why today we've looked at I think like 3 different stocks that I was not paying attention to. And what do we see? Reversal signals. Why? Because people in this channel have been here long enough that they pay attention to the right things now. So that's very nice. Yeah, TJs. Now, TJs, if you've traded for a while and you want to see potential opportunities in individual stocks, we do have monthly expected moves and weekly expected moves on Patreon. But if you're starting out early, I would really just try to get good at understanding how the SPY and the Qs move with these monthly expected moves, right? That's what I would be doing early on. Get a good hang of how to sense which direction the SPY and the Qs could go based on the signals. And then after that, I can look into individual stocks. Howdy, Huron. How you doing? SPY touched gap and now is in the die mode. Yeah, touched up to upward levels. I still, like I'm saying, guys, I still think a sweep of this low would be the People hear me talk like this all the time. Why do you think I think sweeping the lows is such a good thing here? Because I don't think like I'm a retail trader. I try to think like I'm Wall Street, and especially in high volatility times. How could I manipulate retail to make it so I, as Wall Street, can make the most amount of money? Well, let's see. Yeah, people have some bearish bets out there, but are these extended for a longer period of time? Are these extended for a longer period of time? No, I might want to see them get nice and bearish. Keep those bearish bets coming. So I might want to sweep these lows, right? Because if all those stops are down here, if we do this, people are going to be saying, oh my God, we're breaking the key level. We're going down to test another key level. This thing is going to vomit if it closes below 570. And then you just see it bounce. And I go, okay, job acquired. Do people get very bearish? We can look at PCC levels and things like that. And grabbing liquidity at the lows. Everyone's stop is at that low. Mr. Pickle's like, dude, if anyone's a trader, I mean, you know that they're potentially putting stops now, right? If they take calls here, they potentially just have a stop at the close or a stop at the wick of this low. And then other people potentially have a stop at this low. And then other people probably have a potential stop at this low. So if you swipe through this, you now take out 3 levels. Pretty crazy. Where is Martial Law? We haven't seen him. He's probably over there. He's probably so busy with his VIX plays. We hope he's doing okay. If anyone knows Martial Law personally, if you guys chat or anything like that, let us know. Make sure he's doing all right. I've been wondering that the past few days. Because when we talked about volatility, I almost mentioned him, but I noticed he hasn't been in chat for a couple of days here. Hopefully he's doing all right. Yeah, this, like I'm saying, I'm hoping he's just locked in somewhere. You know, I hope he's just locked in or lurking or something and just doing his like. If he's playing volatility the way he likes to do it, he should be crushing it because he just likes to buy SVIX and UVIX back and forth. Market's going down. It's kind of going up right now. Getting a little bounce. How do you calculate stops on an option compared to the share price? It's just it's a tedious game. Some people do it on value, you know, like percentage loss or something like that. Options is rigged in their favor. Yes. So look when it's rigged completely against you and look at the trade that goes completely against you. And then see if that plays out. Just take the opposite. But how do you calculate the stops and options? That's why we overall have the management of the trade in the course, but we can go over that at some point, Blorlack. What I like to do is I like to, personally, I use stops, I would say more rarely than a lot of other traders because I am more actively looking at my trade, right? I'm more actively looking at my trade and going, hey, if this 30-minute crosses down, I'll be out. Or if the 15-minute crosses down, I'll be out. So that's more how I look at it. Now, during a big gap, you might look for that to fill first. But yeah, it's just kind of every single trader is different. But I like to manage my trade within the trade. So I'll rarely have a stop. I'm more watching it go up. Oh, if it rejects, okay, I'll get out up here instead of here. Just something to save myself a little bit of money. And then I know, like, hey, if that whips back up, I can just get right back in and I'll be more confident with a higher low. So we can discuss that as it goes. Yeah, we'll talk about that more, Blorlack. Give it some time, just hang out for a bit. And we'll discuss more about managing trades and stuff like that. But that is a big point that we put in 2024 that people were really asking that same question. I said, do you guys want to know what I do? And then I kind of explained it and they go, wow, that was super helpful. And so we added it to the course. And so we can discuss that maybe early on next week. Or if we see a management of the trade, we can potentially do that. Man, I mean, it's not like, I guess it's not necessarily like rocket science by any means. It's just like, hey, if I see the 30-minute signal failing, I'm out kind of deal. SPY just said, nope, I'm going to go back up. Well, let's look at volatility. If volatility could confirm down, that would give us some better insight. But mainly, we're looking to break out of the range. I mean, look at the range. Very obvious range. Just a chop box. It is a chop box. That's how you build liquidity, too. I mean, I haven't seen any false breakouts. I mean, maybe like this wick. But you haven't seen a closing. Pretty much, you have not seen a firm close above 584, so. And these weren't fake outs. You haven't even cut the low. We're kind of looking for the fake out. We want the fake out. Oh, lower time frame. Sorry about that, Kalani. I'm looking at the wrong time frames. Take stairs up and the elevator down. Usually you're just falling down the stairs a little bit quicker, and sometimes you bounce off of those stairs for a moment, right? Oh, man, we're running down. Okay, catch my breath. And then we run down, and we roll down those stairs a little bit, and then we bounce off of one, and then we skip the next 3 stairs. So, but yeah, this all could be sideways consolidation to head down, right? We're aware that the 2-hour doesn't have reversal signal yet. We seem to go up much faster than we go down. Not necessarily, actually, because you're actually seeing it takes a full day to go up. It takes 30 minutes to go down. It takes a full day to go up. It takes 30 minutes to go down. But I think I get what you're saying. These rips to the upside, there are people with that buying pressure coming in. There's no way to fall uphill. Bro. Joe Biden's like, hold my beer. Yeah, you're in a market that's very controlled, I think, by day traders in the options right now. Have you guys, everyone here has tripped up the stairs and felt like an idiot. Like you dud your toe on something, on a stair, then you kind of trip forward. Here, give me, let me see this. Let me read this. Justin, I'm going to look at Microsoft in a moment. Let me go use the restroom and I will be right back. Like I said, I'm trying to give a little bit longer live stream because yesterday was short. So I'll be right back in just 2 minutes, and then we should have at least another 30 minutes live, guys. Okay, so I'll be right back. Dude, Richard, I've been thinking about it more and more lately of making that Discord. Like do some little one-on-ones and stuff too, but I'll be right back. Sorry, guys. You know, with that, I think it's this weekend, right, that the hours kind of push back or push forward, right? Spring forward. So I got to I got to think about how we're going to adjust her sleeping. Oh, let me grab my headphones. Also, I'm pissed because these $400 headphones are fantastic. Love them. Love Bowers and Wilkins, if you know who they are. Great headphones, but the frickin' stuff around the foam keeps peeling off, and I keep having to send them in every 6 months to get them fixed. I'm like, is it just my head shape? Is Meet Kevin the new Kramer? He always has been a Kramer. He's always known nothing about directions for stocks. Adjust the baby sleeping. Yeah, Lurk and Luke. I'm trying to figure that one out. So I kind of discussed with my wife how I want to do it right now. So she's got a big day. She hasn't been napping well, so I think it would be easy to shorten her wake window today by like 30 minutes. And then we just have to adjust another like 15 or 30 minutes. Just want to make a plan for if we break the 5, what should we watch for? Well, you should be watching for a fake out still. Right, so what you're looking for is you don't want this 30 minute to cross back down. You just don't. You don't want that 30 minutes, even if you do this, you don't want that 30 minute crossing back down. Because if you do this, you're going to be here, something like this. If you go positive enough, right? If you go positive enough where this thing's really good, but if this is remaining anywhere in this general area here, I would be a little bit worried about if that 30 minute crosses down, okay? Now, the reason for that is because what are we doing? What did we say? Well, if we want the 2 hour to make some kind of divergence, what did we say in last night's video? We kind of want it to fool around right over here. So what if it fooled around like this, got you to be bullish, and then curled down, and we saw this kind of do this for a moment, and then we see that little setup. So it's kind of being micro level. At the end of the day, I'm seeing a bunch of reversal signals, and I can really treat this like building a call position for say a month from now or 2 months from now. We also set an Alexa reminder to go off every night at 7 p.m. Kids listen to robots. Yeah, we have certain like the routine. Yeah, you're talking about the routine. Yeah, we do that too. Not really seeing all the fear and panic everyone seems to be talking about out there. People still buying dips with both hands. I see zero capitulation. I haven't really seen that either. I saw some people mentioning capitulation yesterday. A lot of, I think the people that I was reviewing this morning, actually, I mainly watch stuff in the morning just to get my brain working. It was, I can't remember who it was, but the two people I watched mainly were mentioning hedge fund capitulation. I personally didn't see that as much. A lot of people pointing out the major put call volume. We know there's a bunch of puts. We're not necessarily seeing that in the recent data though. So I think you're right to be a little skeptical here of bullishness coming in. And I think what you're talking about as well is also a mentality thing where if people are still willing to buy those dips, we want them to see something that makes them not willing to buy it. And maybe if you do this, they're not willing to buy this one. And then you see that big order come in, or you see a little upward move and then you gap up the next day. That way, because a lot of the time, these things will resolve in either a sporadic move or a gap. And the reason the gap is there is so you can't participate in it, right? If I'm an option trader during the day and I'm retail, I can't really participate in that. And I think that's something we can watch for. Yeah, I don't know why people have that assessment, Mr. Pickle, but I don't see that in the recent data. The only thing I see it is in those surveys, right? For the most part, those surveys look really, really bad. But in my mind, I always go like this when I see the word survey. Is the survey asking them, are you bullish or bearish? Or is the survey asking them, how are you positioned right now? That's a big difference. Those gaps overnight drive me crazy. And that's why I like to build the position, especially monthly ones. I'll usually be building a position and then I'll manage it a little bit differently. I'll be willing to take longer out options so I can have a scale in kind of moment. But I think that's the recipe we're in for. That's why I really want to sweep these lows though, Mr. Pickle. I really want to sweep these lows. I think you would get these people bearish now. You'd get these people from yesterday bearish, and you'd get these people from Tuesday bearish as well. Yeah, and I think a lot of people, I mean, what's one of the easier ways to see capitulation, by the way? Oh gosh. Oh my gosh, I literally looked at this like this morning. Oh my gosh. Do I have it over here? Oh, dang it. Maybe it's in my history. Oh my gosh, I literally don't have it. That is so annoying. This would have been a good point. My brain is just slightly blanking because I just talked about a bunch of other stuff not related to the stock market with my wife. Oh god. Hate when that happens. Alright guys, I'm gonna seem really stupid, but I don't care because I want to look at it with you guys. But I'm completely blanking on one of the most obvious things that I check every week, that everyone checks every single day. And I know this is gonna sound really stupid. I don't care. I want to look at it, so forgive me if I seem dumb. What is it called when you want to see all of the sectors and things like that? I'm completely blanking. My brain is gone right now for some reason. All those little bubbles and stuff. I'm completely blanking right now. I can't figure out. Heat map, thank you. Oh my god, I knew it was obvious. And it literally, I had a bookmark so I don't forget. My bookmarks are what save me a lot of the time. Let's just look at the trading view one. So if we look at it, I mean, a lot of people are just looking to see like red across the board, right? We don't necessarily see red across the board on all these things. But we're getting very, very close. Like you're getting close, but you're still seeing greens. You're still seeing greens. A lot of people just look for red across the board. Let's reload Fear Greed. It's fine. I cannot believe that. You need a homepage or a home assistant. I need a, trust me, you guys, there's nothing I need more than an assistant right now. Trust me. I'm hoping to get to the point where I can hire my buddy. He's a IT guy. I want to hire him. Need to get to a little bit better point though. Brain fart. Rother's like, brain fart. It was. I genuinely was like, I had it in my head. I went over, I was like, all right, let me look for my bookmark. It wasn't there, and I go, wait, what the heck is that called? Need 90% plus of stocks to be down multiple days in a row. Daniel, you sound like you got your head on a swivel with this. Do you have any little access points for data that you like? Do you have any sites you like for that type of information? Just want to see if you have something that can help out everyone here on the channel. Thank you for the comments, Daniel. Really appreciate it. And yeah, I think you're right to pay attention to 5,500. And then what is it? Isn't it like 5,900 is potentially a good thing? Oh, Home Assistant. Okay. Can I get your opinion on the 15-minute 200 MA? I've seen a lot of stocks that it acts as resistance. SPCE, for example, has this problem really bad. Is it something I'm imagining, or is there something possible? Well, you'll notice about these averaging lines, right? They're averaging lines. They aren't lines in the sand that says buyers have to be there, sellers have to be there. It is more of an average that you can treat as like, I wish it almost was like giving me a little gray zone. Like I wish it had a little zone into it because I treat it more like a zone. But for the most part, this is just to have an idea, right? This is to give you an idea. Because if we take this off, let's take off Bollinger Bands, let's take off 5-day, let's take off this. You still can trade, and a lot of people who are really good traders can trade like this. And if you're able to trade like this, the other stuff should just make you a little bit stronger, a little bit stronger, a little bit stronger, right? But it can be very complex. And let's say I don't even have monthly expected moves. Well, now I just have a chart like this. So if I have a 200, right? And this, I know we're talking about a bigger time frame, but if I have a 200 that is coming up like this, right? Then I have a general idea, because I can be very lost if I have none of this. I could be lost. I could say, hey, we're losing this. Maybe the sideways price action takes us lower, right? But for the most part, we now see that when those drawings pop up and we get rid of my fake one, right? If we add something to us and we add those averages, what do we notice? Well, we notice that the 200 is there. So what are you looking for at the 200? Just, oh, buyers have to be there because it's a thick white line? No, buyers don't have to be there, but this would be another point to say, I want to look for reversal signals around that 200. Now, sometimes you will see those V-shaped kind of things, but remember that we got hints from other stocks around this time, like NVIDIA. So we actually were able to catch this because of NVIDIA. So thank you to NVIDIA back in the day, right? But as you're getting that 200, you don't want to treat them as the end-all be-all. The end-all be-all is the price action. The 200 is to give you a general idea of where you might want to pay closer attention to the price action and say, hey, yes, we do get bounces from there. We know that hedge funds, Wall Street, everyone pays attention to the 200. So if I'm seeing reversal signals here, that's more important. That's way more important. I haven't looked into quant data. No, I have not, but I'm definitely open to it. Don Kaufman. Oh, Thinkorswim has it. Yeah. Thinkorswim has access to some great things. So yeah, these moving averages, the main thing about them is they are not the end-all be-all. They are a way to access guidance, to potentially make a trading strategy with confirmations, right? We can use them for confirmations and things like that. But it is also generally good to understand that 200 on even every time frame can hold as resistance. And so what you want to see is, are you actually getting resistance at these levels? Are you actually seeing things curl down? Are you seeing 30-minute diversions, right? Those things will matter more. Notice this, 200, 200, 200, 200, right? So it's to give you that general area where buyers could be lurking when you're above it, and it's to give you that general area where sellers could be lurking when you're below it. And what do we see from that? Well, we can use that information to critically think, right? We can use that information to say, wow, if we do form that base here and we react up to this level of 598.37, there is going to be the 200 there, and that can hold as resistance, as well as the sideways price action can hold as resistance, as this is technically the breakdown area, which was retested and failed. So that tells us that there is serious resistance here. So if we catch a big move, something like 598 could hold as an area where we need to pull back from. I think they can. I think they can. They let you look at back data too. So I'm pretty, Thinkorswim, even though I don't like their expected moves as much, they're still pretty decent. But Thinkorswim, I believe you can even look at previous expected moves and things like that as well. Gobber, just make sure that's, you know, I'm answering your question, right? It's more, you're going to see reactions around there because that's a general area people will pay attention to. That's an average, right? if I on average make 5 out of 10 free throws, but I have 3 sessions where I hit 9 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 9 out of 10, right? And let's say I didn't even get better, I just 9 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 9 out of 10. Well, if my average still with that data is still around 5, I could revert back down to only making 5 for a moment before I maybe bounce off of that average and then see myself get a little bit better. Right? And then maybe that average moves up a little bit to 6, and then I get a little bit better and I do 9, do 9, do 9, and then I go down and I have a week where I hit 6, and then I go back up. But then maybe I break a pinky and then I go down to making 1. And I lose that 200, right? How does a SPY and SQQQ go up at the same time? SPY and SQQQ are not correlated. I mean, they can technically have a correlation, but SQQQ follows the Qs. SPY is following the SPY. So you're dealing with strictly tech stocks over on the Qs. I'm from the 855 Central, now go to the gap down from 855, Thinkorswim, use on demand, and you can see options data on replay. Very nice, yeah. Thinkorswim has a great, I think it's a great platform. I've been looking into, making an account with Tasty Trades just because I've never used it before. Do you have a Discord? No, we have a Patreon. Patreon's the best I can keep up with right now. With everything going on, it's just that's the best I can keep up with. I will potentially be making a Discord if I could. Really, I would like to get someone helping me out with the channel if I got a Discord, because I don't have the time to pay attention to a Discord enough. But it might also be an avenue just for people to come together and talk about topics and show their plays and show their success or not. We can have an issue section. Hey, what's your problem with trading? And maybe some people can help you out with it. Or we could open up a potential stream one day on Discord and do something in there to really discuss, if maybe everyone who takes the course could be invited. I don't know. Well, there's a lot of avenues, a lot of different ways to do it. All right, so right now we've seen that reaction up, and where are we rejecting from? Well, weirdly enough, you're rejecting from that general area where the sellers could be lurking. It's just these are shorter moves, so I can post daily memes. Oh, we'll have a meme section. We'll have a meme section, all right? Yeah, Daniel, and you'll see, I know you're mentioning a lot of things, but you'll see, I try to pay attention to main things that help with my trading and to keep it simple, right? When we start to go into, say, something like quantum data, say something like this data, it adds more and more and more piling on of data and things like that. We want to keep things very clear and pay attention to the data that everyone's paying attention to, but also looking into the 10-year yield, looking into the dollar, looking into the structure of the SPY, paying attention to the data points that matter more to me while trading, our monthly expected moves and things like that. But hey, if you want to try to do a Discord with me, maybe we can discuss that. Maybe we can discuss trying to do this Discord thing and make a couple of people moderators for it. But that still might be down the line. We still have a lot of stuff to get to. The market's too crazy right now for me to try to tackle that. VIX is starting to wick out. No cross down just yet. Unfortunate. Now, this is interesting to me because this is different. So this trend here, you want to be more worried about this with 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Remember, there were about 4 days. 1, 2 gave it up. 1, 2, 3 gave it up. So 4 days is the most we've remained out of this area. And 1, 2, 3. We're on day 4. So I think you want volatility to turn down soon. And now you're finally getting that to reverse down right after that green was there. It started to produce some red. So that means the SPY might continue to bounce. We'll see if that takes place. How do I find your email? It's in the About section. It's in the About section of my channel. You can click into that About section and find the contact info or something like that. It's right there. I leave it there so you guys can email me if you want. I'm not usually able to get to every email. You guys know that. Nazim even gave me a script that I've been kind of reading over for potential. So when you have weekly expected moves, when you join Patreon, I think he, at least how I'm reading into it, he created like a system where you would just take those and you'd be like, okay, here's this, it'll calculate those weekly expected moves for you on TradingView. I thought that would be very cool. And do you think we'll flush after the weekly lower high? I think Bitcoin has a good chance to rip here. I understand the 2-hour pullback's very, very likely, but as you make higher lows, it's hard for me to be very negative on it. As the daily is starting to try to confirm up, it's hard for me to be overly negative on it. So I'm aware 2-hour pullbacks come. The way that this fails is the 4-hour crosses back down right now. Yeah, the 4-hour crosses down, you can continue that trend and end up down towards 69.5K. So we don't want to see that. If you do see it, you want it to be very brief. You still want the higher low again. Keep those higher lows, break through, cup and handle this bad boy with the very deep handle. A movie script? No. A script for TradingView. If I tried to follow a script, like an actual like movie script for talking about stocks, that would be very difficult. Because it changes all the time. Who else can't wait for GLD to get the monthly expected move? I can't, because that's going to be around that $3,000. GLD, oh yeah, GLD was the other setup. This was a great trade as well, right? And now we're seeing what? Hey, maybe the daily pullback is done, right? You look at futures and you're going, hey, is that going to get to 3,000? Well, this is how it gets to 3,000, is it curls up right here. And then we see that big move, and then it might fade, right? If we're not going to see it fade, you just don't want it to make that divergence here on the MACD and RSI. How long did I study options to get good at it? It took me, I mean, studied options versus working with options is different, right? I was doing options for plenty of time, not as much as now, but this is the environment I kind of like options. But I would more so lean towards when did I actually take options, more like look into it and be like, hey, I'm making mistakes here, let me get better at it and let me take it seriously. I think after that point, it took me about 2 years to get a really good grasp on how I want to tackle options. And I think the main thing is people think you have to know IV, you have to know everything about IV, you have to know everything about Delta, you have to know everything about this and everything about that. I don't think that's the case as much. I mean, I know a lot of those things, but I wouldn't say I'm a master of any of those things necessarily. I think I would need another couple of years in that. But I would more so say, to this point now that I have more than a couple of years down, I just more so lean towards it's more about decision making and less about knowing more, right? I can know everything in the world about stocks, but if I see a daily divergence to the downside, right? If we see daily divergence on the downside, that's going to be more important than anything. So I can know all that stuff, but if I see a daily divergence, it's a lot simpler is what I'm getting at. You know, understanding little things like how to treat monthly expected moves, how to treat it when it comes down to a monthly expected move in the first week of the month. I think that stuff is more important than just more and more and more and more and more knowledge, right? It's kind of like this in the market too. It's like more knowledge, more problems, right? If you never knew about options, then you probably have less problems than a lot of people, right? Just knowing more stuff does not always mean more success. If you tank your account 3 times, you'll be good at it. Well, that's why it's good if you have 10 grand. You know, for me, when I first started trading, like with options, I wanted to dedicate, I think, $20,000 to it. I only put $2,000 into the account, right? I was like, hey, I have this, but I'm not going to give myself that incentive to try to do options with 20 grand. I want to try this out. Years ago, I want to try it out, and I'm not going to do it with 20 grand. I'm going to do it with a smaller percentage of that, see if I can be successful, and then once I became successful, I can add more money into it. Yeah, so on Patreon, we're more so today's a different kind of day, right? If you show up to the live video and there's trade setups here, we'll talk about them, but we're more talking about it in a way of how to make a decision, right? Everyone is at different levels right now, right? There's 250 people in here. It would be very stupid to say that everyone understands everything exactly the same. So we don't necessarily call them necessarily setups, right? It's more of just an analysis of what's going on and then saying, okay, this is what we see at bottoms, right? But we do show those things off, right? We showed off GLD, we showed off Jpmorgan, we showed off Meta, we showed off Amazon, and all of those things played out. But we didn't just say, this is going to play out, you're going to make $1 million like other YouTube channels. No, we tell you both sides and we say it is more probable to see this thing pull back. It is more probable to see a big drop here. Oh, this thing's climbing up to higher levels. Meta just finally gave the 2-hour divergence at a monthly expected move. Meta could experience a big drop, right? We're more talking about those things. And then the course itself will tell you how I like to take a trade, manage a trade. And we talk about a lot of those things on the channel, right? This channel is dedicated to more so helping people make those good or bad decisions, like understanding what a good decision is, what a bad decision is, right? So if the SPY turned down like this, and I have a daily that's almost oversold, I'm at a monthly expected move, I'm potentially setting up a divergence point, the bad decision here would be to go short. So you could say, from an analytical or probability and statistics standpoint, that short around this level, say short equals X. Now, if we think about that critically, then that would say a bad decision would be shorting the downside, meaning X. So what is not X? Long. So around these areas, we're looking for not X. We are looking for, if we get a signal that says not X, makes sense to try to take. But we know immediately that shorting here, yeah, it makes sense here, maybe for a day trader, maybe for someone who's a short-term trader trying to make a little bit of money over the next week or the next couple of days. But overall, taking a full short position like I like to take, a month-out short position that I'm going to hold for a week, maybe even 3, it's just not a good decision, right? And that's how we like to talk about things. But if you read into it critically, you can understand what the good decision is if we're talking about a bad decision, right? Around these areas, it is a better decision, in my opinion, and in your indicator's opinion, and in your monthly expected moves opinion, to not be starting a short position. How to teach myself not to look at a 1 to 2 minute chart. Go away from your computer more often. Get away from your, stop looking at charts all day on a 1 minute chart. One thing is, 1 minute, 2 minute, 5 minute charts, see the most violations of divergences, see the most crazy things, see the most failed breakouts, see the most everything. Oh, it's just today, Daniel. Just today, Daniel. The biggest difference with the Patreon is when we talk about it, we actually have these moves up. So if you notice this, let's go to Jpmorgan. So Jpmorgan, the way we talk about this, especially with Patreon, is we more so are giving those. And the reason that I talk about it like this at this time, Daniel, is because at the end of the day, this channel is here to be helpful. And it would be completely unhelpful for me not to discuss these things on live video with you guys while they're happening, while we're live. At the end of the day, Daniel, I make $7 from Patreon, and that gets people weekly, monthly, and daily expected moves every single Friday, right? We get monthly expected moves every month, weekly expected moves every Sunday, daily expected moves for every stock on Friday. The benefit to the analysis on the Patreon is we do not do things like this on the live show every day. There are not setups in the morning on the live show setting up like this at a monthly expected move every single day. So you will not see us talk about setups here very often, maybe once a month. But on Patreon, we usually are talking about how stocks are behaving and talking about potential setups once a week. Pretty awesome. And the thing that makes that beneficial is because we have weekly and monthly expected moves over on Patreon, when we make that video, we can actually have those weekly expected moves up and we can discuss it even further than on this channel, right? We can discuss failures. We can discuss maybe the plan for the trade. We can discuss, hey, the take profit levels. You know, we can discuss a lot of things and formulate a plan through those videos. But yeah, during the live show, if it sets up during the live show, I'm going to talk about it. Because at the end of the day, this is to be helpful for all traders. Not just my Patreon, not just my subs. I want to give the opportunity for someone that's not even subbed to see this kind of information and make a decision. So we don't share setups here all the time. We talk about stocks as thoroughly as possible because I'm really sick of retail getting tricked by financial media, and I just would really like to help people. That's genuinely all that's going on here. And the way to help people is not talk about how much money they can make with every potential setup. The way to help people is to help them understand a good decision and a bad decision and a good decision that can go wrong and what decisions to make around there. See you on Patreon. Okay, thank you, Daniel. And Daniel, give it a try, right? It's not something that is, you have to be a part of it. You're locked in, anything like that. It'll cost you $7 and you can see if that information really helps you. And if you think it doesn't help you that much, hey, it doesn't mean you have to leave the channel. It doesn't mean you can't show up to the live videos. It just means, hey, you don't see it as helpful for your trading, and that's perfectly fine. We've seen plenty of people be like that. But I will tell you that vast majority of people stick around after that first month. Will AMC become some monies? Let's look at MAGs first. Look at MAGs. Right? We're going to pay, this is something that we're going to possibly put on the, but you have to think critically, yeah. I mean, I'm not, Batman, where are they? Where's the MAG 7 going? Is that pretty good? Yeah, we can check on QBTS, next level. That's the brand of t-shirt I used to use when I sold t-shirts back in the day. MAG 7 as well, showing some divergence points here. So we want to see if this is going to turn around. This is something we're thinking of adding weekly and monthly expected moves for. If you would like to see weekly expected moves, just say in the chat that that would be nice. How accurate is maximum pain? I do not pay attention to maximum pain at all. Max pain, it's... The reason I don't pay attention to max pain is because Wall Street could have orders in there. What's more important is, you know, where are the put levels? Where are the call levels that are really important for the week? That's what I think is more important. All right, let's go look at it next level, okay? Let's go look at QBTS real quick. A little quantum stock, right? Oh, whoop. BTS. Okay, so 2 hour here, not looking the best so far. Not looking the best, but if the daily does confirm up, you might be taking out these levels. What I want to see here is if we match up these lows, does that match up? Yeah, I think that's what you're kind of looking at, something like this right now. I think you want to get out of that pressure, right? I think you want to burst through this high. That would be a very good way. If you end up doing this and then failing, I'd be a little bit cautious because that could just be a right shoulder that could have been, especially if it's lower, right? Left head, we break it, but we make the right shoulder that could have been, and then we fall again. So you're just looking for this daily to curl up, and that means positivity. You're above the 200. Don't think about it too, not simply too complex. Right? At the end of the day, you have a daily curled up by your moving averages here, your very important shorter ones, while you're above the very important one. The only thing that I would watch out for with this one is that E. Earnings is going to be a rough business. We don't see the best 2 hour reversal signals, which means this could easily drop one more time, create that little divergence down here before we see something. So I think you got to be cautious with it. You have earnings coming out literally in like a week. So it's going to be a rough time. Where are the naked shorts? Wait. Where are the naked shorts? Where are the naked shorts? If you're wearing naked shorts, I don't know if I'd even call them shorts at that point. Nah, I'm just joshing. I know you're talking about probably AMC and GME. Where are they? I guarantee you right now, the naked shorts are shitting their pants. That's what they're. The naked shorts are not shitting their pants because they're naked. So they are just seeing poo flop on the ground. Next level, I hope that's how. That one's not showing the most things, but if you simplify it to, hey, a swing trade, and as long as I know how to manage my risk, I'm perfectly happy with that. Jpmorgan did fail to curl up the 15-minute here, so it could go down for the triple dip. Running down their legs. Oh, gosh, that's funny. So yeah, it's a matter of decision making at the end of it all. And it's just, hey, if I make a decision, is that decision still correct or incorrect based on what I'm seeing in front of me? Trading like water. That's the main part there. We'll look at Meta a ton throughout the next few weeks. Meta, once again, this is that trigger, right? So if I said I'm in that 2-hour divergence, right? This is great. Okay. Who asked about? Oh shoot! Who asked about stop losses? It was someone a little bit new. Is it over breakaways? Was it? It wasn't Daily Pizza, was it? Who the heck asked about stop losses a little bit ago? Blorlag, that's it, Blorlag. Okay, so this is something here. This is a great example, Blorlag. Now, we want to be paying attention to this very seriously. We look over at Meta, we know this thing can go way deeper. Okay, immediately. Okay, I'm gonna explain this using the monthly expected move. And this is another thing, Daniel, once again, we don't do this very often, but the state of the market, I want to be helpful, and that's why we discuss these things. I know I could potentially lose money, like someone might not take the course because they hear this bit, but we go more extensive into it in the course. But I don't care. I want you guys to get as much help as possible. And it helps me think about things clearly as well. So there's a two-way street there, which is nice. Meta right now, I'm just going to tell you because we're talking about this. Meta right now has a 609.49 bottom side monthly expected move. So the downside monthly expected move is not here, is here, right in this area. So what I have to understand is if I'm looking at this 30-minute and I go, hey, I took the 2-hour chart up, but I'm not at that monthly expected move, that means the market is still saying that Meta could drop all the way down to something like 609. That's pretty big drop, right? We agree that that's a pretty big drop, correct? Okay, so then management of the trade. Okay, awesome. Here's my trigger right here. I see a good confirming bar. Could have even taken the previous one at 650 and said, okay, this one is a go. We are going to see positivity now and rotate that up. But before I even take the play, I'm making the plan for if it goes right, but also if it goes wrong. As of right now, the plan was it's going right. This is great. Now, what's the plan for if it's going wrong? If it's going wrong with the 2-hour divergence, I look at a 30-minute, and if that rolls over by the center line, by the center line, by the center line, it's impossible for that 2-hour to keep going up. You're not in a squeeze, at least not yet. So as this confirms down right now, that completely contradicts my trade. So in 10 minutes, if this confirms, that means to me there is an opportunity for this to flush all the way to potentially a monthly expected move. Which means what? Well, at that area, what if we see a wick come in? What if we see a divergence, a wick come in, and then we see that divergence print right here, right? So I have to understand the risk here is to go lower. The trend is down. We have not taken out the highs and made higher lows. So I don't want to be in a 2-hour play that says, hey, yeah, we're going this way, when the 30-minute is blatantly saying, no, you're not. Because if this 30-minute curls down enough, it could curl down this 2-hour chart. And that's how I like to manage risk. And what it means to me is I might be right. I just might not be right now. And just in case I'm completely wrong, I'm going to potentially get out of the play, see that drop to lower prices, and then if I'm going to end up being right, I'm going to see a buyer step in, and that buyer is going to let me know that I'm right. The market is going to be able to prove itself. I'm not going to sit there and try to prove the market. I love that phrasing. I just love that phrasing. I love it. Shout out to Figuring Out Money. I just remembered. He's the one that said it, I believe, in his previous video that I watched this morning, and I love the way that he said it. It's just so correct. It's so correct, because if I'm holding on to that 2-hour play here, I'm then hoping that this turns back up. So instead, I just say, how about I don't hope? How about I don't lose money? And if this thing even wanted to cross down and turn right back up, at least I know I'm being a good trader. At least I know I'm paying attention to risk. And if this turned back up, that would be the market potentially proving itself with a higher low. So does that make more sense? But for Meta, I would love to see it sweep these lows, get down towards that 617.82 level, or even sweep that for a brief moment, touch that 610, touch that 609, and then see that wick come up and hold the divergence. Because this is so extended, that is very possible. So now that's the management of risk, Lorlac. Yeah, the management of risk is looking at shorter time frames that you know can affect that particular time frame you're actually in the trade. So if I'm in a 2-hour trade, I look at a 30-minute chart. Okay? Getting out of the way of the market. Exactly. You're always reacting to the market, right? You don't control the market. I don't control the market. None of the people really in chat even control the market. Wall Street, for the most part, controls this market. Bigger money than us controls the market. So wait for that big money to make a decision and tell you what's happening, right? Let them show their hand. If you're patient long enough, it's like playing cards. It's like playing poker. If you're patient long enough, the person accidentally, takes a sip of their drink and leans their cards over, and you get to see a little bit of their hand. Now, you might not, it's not 100%. Your eyes could have deceived you. What if that diamond was a heart? But it does show you a little glimpse of maybe you can have an edge. So this right now would be a management of the trade. In about 6 minutes, or even right now, right, we say about 10 to 20% of the bar in the time left, right? So 6 minutes would be that 10 to 20% area. That would tell us that we are very likely, if especially we close below these levels, to test this low, go make a new one, and then this might be one of the best opportunities. If that buyer comes in, you still need that buyer to come in. But if you see that and it curls back up and you see a MACD like this and an RSI like this, how do you not have 5 reasons at that point, So hopefully that was helpful. Just trading alone is boring. Hey, I appreciate that, Matthew. Hey, that's great, man. Like I said, if you're just using it, if you don't think the course is really going to be helpful for you, Matthew, I'm not going to, shill it out to you or something, If you have a strategy, you really like it, if you think that the course could advance that strategy, hey, I'd appreciate having you take that course. But if you don't think it's going to advance you, man, I respect your money too much. That's all. AMD, once again, AMD actually showing a little bit better, weirdly enough. AMD, very flaggy and getting tighter, weirdly enough. Like big, it's getting tight again. So watch out if this thing just curls back up. But what is it right now? It's curled down. Now, this is where it's a little different, right? You notice that for Meta curled down here, like right here. So this has a little bit of time to figure out if it even wants to drop. And then you look at the behavior, look at the price action. You go, wow, that looks flaggy. So I maybe want to pay attention to if even a 15-minute just curls back up, right? I might want to pay attention to if this 30-minute can curl back up, right? This is where managing the trade becomes a little bit of a gut, right? A trade-by-trade instinct with it based on if you are comfortable with the trade or not, right? So it'd more so be like, here, very obvious, management of the trade. Here, okay, maybe this is kind of a back and forth. It's up to me. I'm going to watch it very closely. Maybe I look for if an hourly turns down, right? Maybe I look for confirmations or price action or the RSI to make a decision if I want to manage my risk, right? The other thing to pay attention to is if you see the MACD go like this, what are you thinking? Pullback, more likely to be pullback, right? There's we talk about this more in the swing trading course, which I think is still up for $50, by the way, but the swing trading course, we talk about the positioning of the MACD a lot. You confirm my reason for holding meta puts. Exactly, yeah, okay, awesome. That's awesome. And I'm sure you have reasons for that, and that's great. Now, as the downside looks like you're seeing that dying out in momentum a little bit, you just want to make sure you're a little quick, make sure you're making your money, you know? I mean, this is a very tight trade, but it can produce that. It could just get to here and then see this. Now, if this wants to really break down, this would be very interesting on like the 5 minute. You see something like this, that'd be very interesting. Stocks look fun. Like you can hear my voice, like I'm excited about stock. I love volatile behavior. Nothing is more boring than a short squeeze, honestly. Like everyone loses their mind during it and I'm like, this is boring. Can't wait to see how your trade works out. I hope so, man. I hope it works out. But I actually really like the Jpmorgan play still. I think Jpmorgan is like, of all of the stocks out there, even the ones with reversal signals, this one is setting it up like now. And it looks almost identical to NVIDIA back in the day. Like, look at this. Okay, the move up, lackluster move. We go to the... We don't even make it to the 5. So that's the difference. But NVIDIA back here, look, it's almost the same right now. But back here, we saw it more volatile, dropped off with a gap, and then just bought back up. And you're kind of seeing similar things from Jpmorgan. Now it's coming back down for that move to the low. So we'll see if this is able to hold up. We're still waiting for that buyer to step in, right? Everything, we've been right about everything so far, but does that mean I'm gonna get overzealous and try to take this before it tells me anything? Or am I waiting for that to do that, right? Am I waiting for at least a confirmation back above the 9 on this? I would highly recommend the course. I've been trading over a decade and helped me to level up, simplify, and cut out a lot of noise. I will tell you this right now. The course right now is $400, all right? Next month, I'm thinking about starting another, sale, right? We do about 2 to 3 sales a year, and one of those 2 to 3 sales a year. Last year was different because we were just starting the channel, but this year we're planning on 2 to 3 sales throughout the year, and one of those might be the $100 sale, right, at the end of the year. But we are going to be having a sale potentially on the course next month, depending on how the environment of the market is, right? I want to more so... I really wanted to put up the course now, but we just did a sale. So I want to do these course sales when it is the most opportunistic time for you, when the stocks look the most confusing. Because once you take the course during a confusing period of time, it'll really start to clear things up for you. So I would say stick around for a month, and potentially if you're new here, if you really need that info, it is worth every penny in a lot of people's mind, not just mine, right? But next month, we're potentially doing a sale there, just so you're aware. Just wait a week and buy the course. Yeah, I'm thinking about an April Fool's start. But I might do a poll first. I like to see if a bunch of people are interested. If I'm going to do a sale, I want a bunch of people to be able to take advantage. What are my targets on Jpmorgan? Very, very good question. Okay, let's talk about this. So Jpmorgan, first of all, we can do little stuff like this. We can go like this. We can see this. Okay, so you're probably like, Luke, you don't bring up fibs very often. And I don't, but I want you to see where this golden pocket lies. I love this golden pocket. It's one of the only things I really pay attention to with fibs. This golden pocket here, this is the exact area I wanted to get to, 266, right? 266 would be great. Now, why would 266 be great? Because you're taking back that 263. You might see that pullback for a 2 hour and then end up curling back up to see that next move higher. That's how I would like it to go higher. But at the end of it all, over the next, I would say 2 months, I'm kind of expecting Jpmorgan to make a new all-time high. Okay, now a lot can go wrong before then. We're going negative, so I want to pay attention to lower highs. But in these areas, the main thing to look at is that 266.50 level. And then see that structure. And you easily see now how that could lead to potentially more upside to go beat this high and go make a new one. So 266, 266.50 is what I really like for Jpmorgan. If it can get a strong push to there, I would love it. Trump gonna slap a 25% tariff on your... Well, it's made in the United States, so you're wrong, Willow. Target boycott? Why? What'd Target do this time? Because Target's where we get our... they're the only place that carries our formula. Actually, we don't use formula anymore. Baby girl loves real food now. Gotta love market makers today. Potentially. Yeah, I'm trying to clean up a lot of my charts, so if you see some zones erased and stuff like that, I will be potentially erasing some of those zones. Just because I really want people to be focusing on, like, hey, how to utilize these expected moves. And then we can always look across to see if there's something important. Hey, there's something important, right? Okay, I'm out to lunch. We'll be on the road tomorrow, but listening. Have a good one. Richard, thank you so much for stopping by, man. Appreciate you being here. They're doing a boycott over dropping DEI stuff. They are taking credit for Target's decline in stock price. No, nothing. Man. Thing is, it's like, if I wanted to, I could give this discussion every single day for probably ever, because there's always going to be someone who thinks that the stock market is the economy, who thinks that the GDP is the economy. I mean, technically, yeah, the GDP is, but Trump's finished talking now. I don't know why you would I'll tell you guys a psychological study. So there was a psychological study on black kids. And what they did was they took the data from black kids who were given opportunities versus black kids who were told they were not as good as other students and they needed to work a little bit harder. The students who were told the truth ended up being more successful over time. You have to tell people the truth. And there's a great saying that I really love right now, okay? And here's the saying. You want to see it? Before the truth can set you free, it will piss you off. Before the truth can set you free, it'll piss you off. You've been in the same lies for so long that once you start to see a little bit of truth, it's going to make you mad initially because it goes against everything that you've been told for years. Hiring someone based on their skin color is just a recipe for disaster, and it will cause things to decline slowly over time. Not because it's a bad thing. It's always something. It's always a piece of poop wrapped in nice wallpaper, nice wrapping paper. The fact of the matter is, people who deserve something should get it. People with merit should get it. And that's it. What you're doing by saying, I want this person to get this job because they're black, and because what you're saying is they don't have enough merit to get the job. That is racist. That is you saying you're too stupid because you're black to get this job. That is very, very, very stupid. And my heart goes out to people that think that way, because you need to change your thinking completely. There are still people to this day that think because of your skin color, you have a harder time understanding how to get a driver's license, guys. And this relates to the market in some way, because you've been in a market for a very, very long time that has been lying to you with fake money. And that's why everyone's talking about a big crash, because before the truth can set you free, it'll piss you off. If you see this actually collapse, a lot of people are going to be pissed. But do you know what ends up happening? A lot of things become cheaper. You get rid of corruption in government. You get rid of corruption in insurance. You get rid of corruption in food. Before the truth can set you free, it'll piss you off. It's just how it goes. And I'm sorry if I offend anyone with this, but I just don't see how it's offensive to say, I believe that people are smarter than you give them credit for, and I don't think they need DEI to prove that they are smart enough for a job. Car insurance being mandatory, any insurance being mandatory, I think is silly. I want to tell you guys a story again, right? Before the truth will set you free, it'll piss you off. Tell me if this pisses you off. And tell me what the truth might be. I had a buddy recently. He had something bad happen to him. He had to go to the hospital. They gave him a bill for $600. They gave him a bill for $600. Do you know what he told them? I have insurance. I have insurance. Okay, they say, let me see that insurance. He gets the bill after his insurance hits. Now what does he owe? $1,400. The truth is that I have thought for a long time that if you're willing to pay cash, things should be cheaper. And having insurance should not be mandatory if you're smart enough to hold cash and things are cheaper, because of how insurance is right now. So insurance actually increased the price for him by over double. Does the truth piss you off yet? Just pointing stuff out. Before the truth. I could play the song for you too. It's a song if you want to hear it. It's great. It's a great song. It's one of the best quotes ever, and I think it's spot on. So right now we see the SPY starting to drop down. I'm glad we're going live a little bit longer today, right? Sometimes we talk about little side topics, but we always try to relate it to the market. So before the truth can set you free, it'll piss you off. So the truth is, we're making a base here. The truth is, a lot of people don't believe that base. So if they do not believe that this is going to be a base, then they probably believe that this is going to be a crash. They are being lied to. The news, Meet Kevin, all of YouTube, most of YouTube is saying this is all crashing. What if that's a lie? And what if you start to see the truth and you're one of those people? Well, that would probably piss you off. But if you understand it quickly and that pisses you off and you're willing to be adaptable, you're willing to be accountable, you're willing to trade like water, aka trade based on what the market is doing and change your thinking rapidly, have that skill of adaptability, you can be pissed off for a very short amount of time and switch your thinking and make a good decision. And that's the difference here. That's how it relates to the market. And then guess what? That little moment of pissed off, you start to get set free. Now, our job is to make sure that's happening, to make sure that's a good decision. I had a very simple take on this Vital 46, and my tons and tons of people around me have given me flack for this about insurance. Tom Lee is saying buy the dip. He's saying there's a potential bottom this week. Do you know what I'm doing right now? I'm agreeing with Tom Lee right now. Let me tell you about health insurance. Do you know when I decided to stop having health insurance at all? It was at a very young age. This is the kind of brain I've had for a while now. Very young age. It was when Obama made it mandatory. Health insurance. That's when I stopped. Anytime the government makes me do something for mandatory reasons, I never do it. That's why I didn't get the vaccines. You say it's mandatory? Okay, let me look at it and see if it's mandatory for me. I am a person who thinks the government has in no way the ability to tell me what is mandatory for me. That's how I think. I'm so excited for tomorrow. Bones, what makes you excited for tomorrow? I'm down. You think tomorrow's going to be a big day? I think gap down today, RIP tomorrow. We'll see. We got a lot of time. But here's the thing. They want you to see this, right? This is happening during market hours. Why are calls expensive? Are they expensive on the SPY? Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, it's just people haven't fully gone to that bear side yet. And actually, the CPC yesterday, 0.76. That's not necessarily bearish. Heck yeah, glad you didn't take them. I knew there was a reason I vibe with you. My wife knows this, and it's kind of a stubborn personality trait of mine. If I'm going to do the dishes, just let me do the dishes, right? If I'm about to go do the dishes and you tell me to go do the dishes, I'm probably going to wait 15 minutes. That's how stubborn I can be. I don't like to be told what to do. And if it already makes sense to me, then you telling me to do it is just, it's just ridiculous. Okay. The girls are, we got a fun day planned, so I'm trying to go live as long as possible. Now, if it makes sense, someone tells me what to do, I wasn't thinking about it, it's good. But if it's something that goes against me and like myself, what I feel is right, what I feel is meaningful to me, well, my health would be something that's meaningful to me. You want to bring a plate? Bro, we're thinking of having just one of those crap lazy days, you know what I mean? Where we don't cook, we don't clean, we just sit around, and I am very excited to have that day. No, my wife knows me. Next level, don't worry. We're best friends. Like, yeah, I don't think me and my wife started off as like best friends for 2 years. Like, that's how we started off. Pretty amazing. And I think it's just been great. When you're friends with someone, you're best friends with someone for 2 years, you get a good insight, I guess. You get a good insight into how they feel about certain things and their past, right? I think it's important to understand that too. All right, guys, let's get back into the market for just a little bit, guys. I got like 15 minutes left. So what should we do? Let's take this. Let's start our vote for the last bit here. Let's start our vote, okay? We are going to go in here. We're going to start our little poll. And we're going to see what you guys think. Start a poll. Now, let's go this. Let's just say, let's just do what we always do, right? Let's do this pretty regularly now. Will SPY end the day red or green? First one is going to be red. Second one's going to be green. All right. Let's start that off. That's pretty true, Mr. Pickle. The thing is, Mr. Pickle, the funniest thing about all these tariffs are, if they're all reciprocal, the funniest thing is, do you guys know what a free market is? You guys know what a free market is, right? Do you think tariffs kind of go against the whole free market thing? You know that we're doing reciprocal tariffs? That means if this person tariffs, we will tariff this person. That's all it means. Like, the fact that people are so against this, how are you not against the other countries tariffing us while we do zero? Come on. Like, come on, think about this. If your friend was charging you at your house $20 to mow your lawn, but then saying you have to mow my lawn for free, wouldn't you think that's wrong? I'm just throwing out some ideas here of how to think about it. Find another trade partner. Exactly. I can tell you right now, if my neighbor came up to me and I was paying them for something and they told me that they want me to give them the same thing for free, I would be like, get the fuck out of here. 25%? Well, why is it 25% up front, CS? Have you ever negotiated? Have you ever been the one negotiating a sell on Facebook Marketplace? What does everyone know about Facebook Marketplace when you're trying to sell, say, a car? Do you want to put that car, let's say you did your research and the lowest it sells for is $1,000, but the highest it sells for is $6,000. Would you more so be inclined to give a price point, and let's say yours is in perfect condition? Would you put that perfect or that good condition car at $1,000 because it's guaranteed to sell? I guarantee you, if you put it up even for $1,000, the first 10 people that message you offer $800. Negotiation goes like this. I give you a price that's over, but still makes sense. Then you come back with a lower price. And I go, okay, yeah, you're right. 6,000 might have been a lie. You're asking for 4 though. Let's meet in the middle, maybe like 5,200. And then they go, I don't know about 5,200. If we make it to 5,000, I think I can do that. Done. The key thing you need to understand is just if it's reciprocal versus just a tariff, right? Reciprocal just means we're going to put it wherever. That's why I think Canada's being stupid. Canada's like, we're going to raise it. Well, it's a reciprocal tariff, so it'll immediately raise. Like, if you dropped it to 0, it would be 0, and I'm sure Trump would be comfortable with that. I haven't looked into that CS, but yeah. And like I said, these are just things that we're talking back and forth. None of us are saying like, hey, we're really, really right. Like we're 100% right. We won't know till it's all over. The tariffs are only to force the countries to negotiate, and I think that's the best way to think about it, Willow. I think it's perfect. One guy actually offered what I wanted, and I gave him the 500 off. Exactly. Yeah. Why? Well, because at the end of the day, it might be your neighbor, it might be a friend, maybe he has a skill. What if someone came up to you and said, hey, I can't pay you money, but I looked through your profile, I saw your house, it's really beat up. I'm actually a painter, and it can cost you around $5,000 to get that house painted. I would love to do that for you, and even throw in maybe a roof inspection while you're at it. Things like that. Are you taking any plays with the drop? Not yet. I'm just sitting being patient. Yeah, because it all equates. Cash is just the physical form of those trades, right? Cash is just an instrument we use to trade, right? Pay it forward. Perfect. Yes. And guess what? It might come back to you. Wasn't there a free trade agreement before? Yeah, have you read the free trade agreement? I haven't, but I guarantee you it's not a free, it's probably, here's the thing that you need to understand about agreements, politics, all that stuff. They'll slap a good name on it. Why do you think it was called USAID, USAID, right? They slap names on things to make you feel like they're good things, but you actually have to read into it. It's kind of like the YouTube thing we were talking about earlier. You can't go based off of just thumbnails and titles. You have to see what the actual context of the video is. Every single headline you see about everything, literally almost everything, will have a different take in the context than it does in the title, because they know that people just read titles for the most part. Most people just read titles. I encourage you to read the context. The funniest thing is, if you want a leg up on people in today's world, all you have to do is do like 30 minutes more of work than them in a day. Meaning if they're posting about this, you just want to read that fully, because I guarantee you they didn't, because they were it's like, this document came out 20 minutes ago. It's 40 pages long. And then they post about it and give an opinion. Do you think they read the 40 pages? No. So why trust them? Right? But as far as the market goes today, we see this 30-minute has confirmed down. That means we are very likely to, well, potentially even see a bounce. I mean, if we're really looking at this seriously, look at the 5-minute chart. This could be a bounce right now. Let's look at the 5-minute together for a little bit while we still have about 10 minutes left here, guys. Being diligent is the difference. No, it's just willing to work a little bit more. Willing to work just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. Do you want an edge, or do you want to go with the crowd? I want an edge. And that's all we're doing in the market now, is we're just paying attention a little bit more than other people. Other people are reading financial media, hearing crash everywhere, and making decisions. We're making decisions based off of more data. I do too, monumental. I think that would be great, but there is a 5-minute divergence here. This turns up 30-minute charts. Now, these fail a lot. That's why I don't look at 5 minutes very often. That's awesome, Robert. That is awesome. Sorry, I didn't read that out loud, but I think that's great. And that's actually great to bring up the word repetition, because if you notice, if you go back and look 6 months ago, that's the best part about YouTube. You can go click on a random video 6 months ago and see how we talked about stocks, and you're going to see a lot of similarities. And you're going to understand that without me even saying it, we didn't bring it up too often, but one of the biggest things is consistency. Right? And so if we're consistently looking at things in a certain way and they prove to consistently catch things correctly, then we might have something to go off of here. And maybe we should pay attention. And maybe this is one of those times where we see that consistency kicking in. Awesome market reading, Lucas. 571. Yeah, it easily 570.08 is what I'll be watching, but like I said, these lines here, general areas, right? General areas. I'm looking for whenever a signal confirms around there. Hey, we're right around there. You're less than 1% away. 0.69 from the wick. 0.42. So we're close. So if this confirms up, who's to say you're not going to end up here by the end of the day, right? If I was shorting, this is something I'd be watching. See, and that's it too. Like Blorlack, I'm sure you're still in here, maybe lurking around. I hope you're still here, but managements of trades are a lot of the time just based on, do I see a signal that goes against my trade? In about 8 minutes. I got 8 minutes left before I have to take off. You're waiting for that moment. People need to shift to bearish for this to get really cheap. And intraday bearishness will be shown in the PCC. We're not seeing that. So I really want that next move higher. I'm sure calls were cheaper during this moment. How do I feel about Palantir? We actually haven't looked at Palantir today. So let's go look at that because I think it's interesting. Palantir was interesting because it had the 2-hour divergence on the MACD and RSI at the same time. Then we went down for that triple dip on the 30-minute, but notice this. So this is the management of the trade again, right? And this is where you got to be quick with it or be willing to take those longer out expirations to build that position and make sure nothing's going wrong, meaning the 2 hours not crossing. So 2-hour cross is bad, immediately bad. Right? Can catch itself and be good, but just in case this is bad and we don't see that buyer come in, I don't want to be in this if it's going down, right? I don't want to be in calls if it's going down. That's just blatant. But in here, we see something great. We see the 2-hour divergence. We see another double bottom here. Very likely this is going to remain good, but something in here is the management of the first trade. Notice where the MACD is. When it crosses, it's going negative. So right here it says no, 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 no. Right? My daughter, she goes, no, 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 no. Okay, no, 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 no. That's what this means. No, 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 no. I'm not going to be able to go up until I prove that I can curl back up. And guess what? It makes another divergence point with the double bottom to curl up. And guess what? Now we're taking back the 5, curling down from a higher point. Now, is that higher point something that doesn't look risky at all? No, this does have some risk to it because it's kind of like we discussed. One of them is here. This one is I need to take it into consideration with my gut. And this one is that's going to be a pullback, right? At least that's the most probable in those scenarios. So right now you're in this one and that's very sketchy, right? But we know we have a good floor here. So even if we do dip to those lows again, look if that holds up. But I need to make the gut decision. Do I want to be in this while the 30 minutes down, or do I want to be in this more so when it curls up? Can I manage my emotions? Do I see big weakness here? Well, as of this moment, I would say you have, making that decision either way makes sense to me, right? We're going up to a key level. We see that pull back to break through that resistance. Very obvious resistance here. So there's a lot going on here with Palantir, but at the end of the day, you have 2-hour divergence if everything remains good, which I think it's still okay right now. You're at a risky point right now because you're losing the 5. So it's definitely risky. But maybe I'm looking for an hourly to cross down because that's by the center line. And if that can confirm down, I might go, okay, just in case, even if that does wick up and stuff, if that confirms down, I don't want my longs to lose that value on the way down. And who's to say, what if this thing just plops through? So if the hourly curls down, I might need to get out. But if the 30-minute can just curl back up, I can stay in this thing. CVNA. Blorak, let me see. What are you doing with Carvana right now? What are your thoughts on Carvana right at this moment? I want to see what your thinking is. And Blurlack is new to the channel and they're contributing in chat, so I just wanted to potentially look at some of those things. Break for further upside. Oh, further upside for the SPY. Just while Blurlack's responding. Right here first, 584.22. We see very obviously resistance or support becoming what? Resistance, resistance, resistance. 3 times. You break through that, good things. Losing support right now, but we're at the main support soon, which is 570.88. I'm looking for its bottom. This thing violently rips up when it bottoms. Okay. So there's some big options behavior. So are you seeing something different from other stocks? A little bit, but not necessarily, right? We've just seen that big move up. Hey, this means what? Well, I see this, and I see this, and I see we were going down, and then we tapered off. So there's probably 2-hour divergence here. Now, what did we make in the past to see this bounce up? 30-minute divergence on the MACD, on the RSI. Did that cause the 2-hour to cross up? Yes, it did. Then what happened? It curled back down. Now you've gotten one fake out. But something we like to look for is, what did we see over here to get that 2-hour to curl up? A 30-minute divergence. So what do we need to maybe see over here for that to curl up? A 30-minute divergence, right? What if I see this? What if I see this right here? Well, this would be even better. 1, because you have 2-hour divergence behind it. 2, look how close you are to the center line now. Look how close you are to going into a positive trend. If this thing can do this and curl up, that would mean positivity. What does it mean for right now, though, right? We like to talk a little bit into the future on this channel, just so you're aware of what can happen next. As of right now, this is pointing down, and we have not seen that buyer come back in to tell you the positivity is there. So you have all the signals, but they haven't proved themselves yet. Now, if this 30-minute would do this, and by the end of the day, you see that thing curling up, that might be the time, right? So we'll see. That might be where making a good decision versus bad decision comes in. Right now, the bad decision, I think, would be taking a short position right now. Here, might have made sense. Here, definitely made sense. Here, doesn't make sense to me. Blurlack, I think you're looking. I wanted to see, Blurlack, the reason I asked you was for a specific reason. I wanted to see if you were leaning towards what everyone would want you to lean towards. What everyone who wants to steal your money wants you to lean towards here is shorting this. So I wanted to see if you were leaning in a certain direction, which immediately tells me you've been trading for 2 weeks. You're looking for a bottom now. You're not getting caught up in the narratives, and that's a very good thing. And I think if you give this a couple of years and treat it very patiently and be patient with your plays over the next 2 years, you're going to be in a very good spot. I believe in you, Blurlack. I believe in all you guys. Even if you've had a hard time lately, I believe you can do it. You just got to look inward. We got to look inward. I had to be very honest with myself when I was doing options and it wasn't working out very well. And then I said, I need to change everything. I'm doing this wrong. I'm doing this wrong. I'm doing this wrong. These are the couple things I'm doing right. How do I make those better? And that has changed my trading completely. And that is what I share on this channel. SPY needs to hit the 200 SMA, and all you need in order to see that 200 SMA. So for Carvana, 30-minute divergence looks fantastic. If it would form that, then the 2-hour has a high likelihood to confirm up, and there is 2-hour divergence. So that means Carvana is at potentially a bottom that could curl up daily charts. For the SPY, you might be at that 200 in the next 30 minutes. Okay, the 200 is literally like at 570. Actually, you're like at it right now. So there you go. Now we know this can shoot past that 200. You know, it gets people very bearish when they start to see the 200 get lost. So I still would like to see more here. I think that would be great. Maro, thank you so much for joining. And Fire S, I didn't say it 10 minutes ago, but thank you so much for subscribing, guys. It means a lot that you're willing to click that button. I know it takes 2 seconds and it's free and all that good stuff, but the fact that you're willing to subscribe to my channel, thank you so much. I'm gonna take a break till next week. Hardly took profit, took bad trade, but still in profit. Hey, that's awesome, Caleb. Understand keeping your mindset fresh is a very important thing. So Spidey hit 200 day today. This type of, okay, good. You said today. I do like that. Clarifying today, could hit it again tomorrow, but this type of behavior of the SPY just hovering around the 200 SMA is just getting tedious. It is getting tedious, and that's why I would like to see us lose the 200 for a second. You want to get people real bearish, you lose that 200 for a sec. From the data we're seeing not so much it in the CPC and PCC, so this is really convincing me that even some smart money or at least hedge funds are potentially making bad decisions here. But we did sweep the low, just barely. But usually after you sweep the low, you want a rip, so I would really like this to potentially last until the end of the day and then see a rip or a gap up tomorrow. What if the SPY doesn't want to go to 570.08? That's perfectly fine. We just would see reversal signals now. Anytime this 30-minute curls up now, we have our signal. If it never curls up, we know there's no decision to be made. If this never curls up, it's going to get worse. That's why it's important to look for confirmation, or as we've been saying for the past like 6 months, we've been saying a lot of it needs to prove itself. And I'm going to say that more often because I like the language that Figuring Out Money actually used. Even though I didn't know he used that language, I like how he explained it to his community. And so big shout out to Figuring Out Money. If you want another channel to pay attention to get very good information, I'm not someone who says I'm perfect and I have all the answers. I'm someone who's going to help you out and say a channel that I really respect is Figuring Out Money. And I would highly encourage you guys to go give his videos a try. I'm more just technicals. Look at the chart. He really can show you some interesting things that can really clear up your thinking, and then you can go into this with the mindset of how to actually trade, maybe using this channel, right? Or if you're a day trader, I think he day trades. What do you thought on stochastics? Stochastics, I've used them. But sometimes having more indicators doesn't mean better trading, right? I just want 5 very simple reasons to take a trade. Those simple reasons can just be my expected moves, a MACD that everyone uses, I think incorrectly because they don't understand it, right? The why we pay attention to the MACD is more important than what it is. And so we go over that in the course that we're going to talk about more and more in April, guys. So, but also the RSI, very obvious indicators can tell me very obvious things if I know what to pay attention to. Thanks, Speedy Trauma, appreciate it. Wait, you're still here? That's right. I know it's 11:33, but I haven't heard the door open upstairs yet. So, actually, that's wrong. I do probably have to hop off. So now you have this, and now this is great to end the stream at this point because you have this. If this never sees that, then we're not seeing upside. If this is always down for the next day, then you're going to be down in the price action for the next day. And it's very, very important to understand. You're not trying to catch a bottom. You're trying to catch when the market tells you there's a good bottom. When there's a higher probability the market is telling you that there is a bottom. Right now, the market is telling you this is not a bottom, right? Everything else we're paying attention to, yes, we're saying this has very, 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 very high potential to be a bottom. But for the time being, this market is saying we are heading down. So if that shifts back up, then the market is telling me, okay, this crosses up, this crosses up, we have divergence, This is telling me that this is going to be at least a 2-hour bottom. Okay? All right, guys, we've cleared up a lot in the market today. I think we've had a bunch of great topics and things like that. I just deleted my MACD, of course. If you ever delete your MACD, guys, make sure to hit Control Z right after, right? That's just the undo, pretty much undo button. So, but yeah, we have 30-minute divergence. Everything that we've been talking about is actually setting up, and something we mentioned in the video was how this looked a lot like NVIDIA, and it's behaving like that drop from NVIDIA a little bit. So thank you guys so much for being here today. Thank you for the multiple topics. I know sometimes we go on random rants and stuff like that, and I apologize for that if that annoys you. Just know that our main focus is on the market, and if we have a moment where we think we have time to talk about something else, sometimes that happens. But I appreciate you guys. I wish you nothing but luck with your trades. I genuinely do. Even if you disagree with me, I hope that you are right. I do not want anyone in this channel to take big losses. And that's why we talk about these things very seriously. And we try to relate things to real life that also relate to the market, because everything is in the same. Everything's together, man. Everything is all together. That's how we were able to read into this big drop coming. That's how we're going to figure out if this big pop is going to come as well. Thank you guys so much. Have a great day. I will see you guys next time. And tomorrow we have a live video. Tonight we might not have a video to put out. I might just be able to go over the SPY and the Qs. Me and my wife have a big day plan, so I'm going to try my best to make a YouTube video tonight. It might just be pretty quick, so make sure to have those notifications on in case I don't have time to make a good thumbnail and do all that stuff, okay? Thank you guys so much for being here. Really appreciate it. Have good luck today. And you don't need luck. Why? Because you now know we're at a monthly expected move. You're going to make your plan before this trade sets up. And this trade hasn't even confirmed yet. So there should be no physical way, if I'm trading the SPY right now and I'm practicing patience, for me to lose money right now. And that's a big, big deal. What are the best signs for a bottom? Monthly expected moves and the weakness in momentum. And then seeing that buy come in to shift the momentum back in the positive direction. Those are three very key things. All you're looking for is, where could we get to? Awesome. Do we make reversals? Awesome. Do those reversals actually see the buyers come in? Awesome. And that's it. That is it. Those are three things you need to make a base here. Let's see if that happens. Thank you guys for being here. Peace out.